We ended up deciding to like spice up our sex life and everything, and we ended up having a female-female threesome with him. So he got to pick another woman, and it was what it was. We did it. It was maybe a couple weeks later it got brought up. It'd only be fair if we had a male and you.
Your age at that time you could marry him was that you had to be pregnant.
I was 15 years old.
The first day you had sex with Mr. Jennings. Day 2, Mr. Hardy. Next day and the next day, day 3 and 4 with Mr. Bryant. So there is another man who could very possibly be.
Mr. Dixon here insists that his relationship with Ms. Spruill was purely transactional, and as we all know, those sort of relationships never create babies, right? Anyway, here is what Ms. Spruill thinks of that nonsense.
It's not yours, is
Yes,
that correct?
ma'am.
Ms. Spruill, why is he?
Daughter, the next day it isn't, and I'm tired. I'm irritated. It's to the point that it shouldn't be called for. If this is gonna be your baby 24/7. Don't go back and forth.
So he's going back and forth.
Yes, Your Honor.
1 minute she is, 1 minute she isn't. Is that true, Mr. Dixon?
No, it's not, Your Honor.
Looks like you've got yourself in a bit of a pickle there, Mr. Dixon. Why would you check on a child that isn't yours? That does not seem like a clever thing to do, does it? Anyway, Mr. Dixon has more truth bombs to unload.
On this particular day, my family member wanted to present Sky around. So one day she went to work. It was like, she was like, hey, we're so excited about our newest family member, Sky. So she goes around showing pictures and, you know, excited about it, showing to our coworkers, her bosses and everything. Except for one particular coworker comes out of the blue and was like, whoa, wait a minute, pause.
Wait, what? Mr. Dixon says another man's sister claims that the child does not belong to him but to her brother. That is a huge red flag if true. But then he says Ms. Spruill lied to him about having a miscarriage? Well, here is what Ms. Spruill has to say about all of that.
Co-worker telling his family member. That same co-worker got on the phone with me and his family member and let it be known his family member was mistaken. He wasn't even around. The other male let it be known he's lying. So when I sent Mr. Dixon the screenshot of these young men letting me know we never had any relations at all, the problem just diminished.
Okay, first of all, why is she screaming so loudly? There are microphones in Queert. Ms. Spruill and everyone here can hear you just fine. You don't have to start screaming. But more to the meat of the matter. What do you mean the father of your kids cannot reach you?
He can't have my main number. Mr. Dixon ran off Alabama when his daughter was one month old, to say he was working. He wasn't working. He was not working.
I'm
you want to
moving
know
to
how?
Alabama to get a better job.
Oh, no.
To make more money.
Our
but
daughter,
it's constantly lies just coming from her.
One at a time.
Our daughter, it wasn't even 7 months.
Ms. Spruill may be destroying all our eardrums with her screaming, but you cannot deny that she is making some good points. This man went all the way to Alabama, knocked another woman up, and then started denying his kid? All for what?
All right, Ms. Spruill, you have evidence.
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Jerome, thank you. You say he accepted the baby at first, and this is your evidence to prove it. So this is his page.
And that is my baby girl. That is Skya. And he had other pictures of Skya on there as well.
And you claim he's accepting her. He's made her
He was
picture.
he was so happy.
You're saying
this isn't a court case. This is a murder. Ms. Spruill is taking Mr. Dixon to the cleaners and he's hardly gotten a word in. He does not even know what to say or do. This is crazy. He better bring something up real quick or the DNA test results will be a mere formality. But before he brings up his evidence, we have to know what happened during Thanksgiving.
So, Thanksgiving, they found out you were pregnant.
Yes, and after that, I became the devil. This wasn't his baby, this, that, and the third.
You so sure this is my child, but yet I'm not on the birth certificate.
You weren't there when she was born. What you mean?
But yet
you
we kept
wasn't
talking
there.
about me putting myself on the birth certificate, and I even came up with money to change her last name. But you kept pushing it off. But you so sure this is my child.
Whoa, that is heavy. But the issue here is if Mr. Dixon is really the father of the child, his name has to be on the birth certificate. It is his right. It hardly matters whether he was there for the birth or not. Ms. Spruill has another excuse for this too.
The day we were supposed to go get it changed, Mr. Dixon ran right back off to Alabama.
Lies.
Oh, you did?
I didn't leave.
You weren't there for a week. You was there the first week of her life. Me and Mr. Dixon are on good terms. He's daddy of the year. Me and him fall out. Skya doesn't exist. And that's what infuriates me more than anything. I don't care how you feel about me.
She has a point there. Anyway, it is time for Mr. Dixon to finally speak his mind and offer his evidence. Why does he think this baby isn't his? Let us find out if there are any big reasons for his doubts.
Up to a point when you instead of saying this baby got blood transfers, 4 or 5 blood transfers.
My baby has
the baby got a brain problem. The baby got a hole in the heart. Dang, this baby got this much problem and she just got here.
It's called vehicular heart defect.
This baby still got here. Why you still lying on this child like that?
The thing is, you would never come to the hospital, so how would you know I was lying?
And this is another reason why I know
she.
Well, Well, at least we got all that screaming out of the way. Now it is time to find out the truth. Who is really the father of this baby? Mr. Hunt or somebody else? Only one way to find that out.
Mr. Dixon, you are the father. You are her father.
Thank you.
You feel relieved, Miss Spruill?
I do.
How do you feel, Mr. Dixon?
I'm excited. I have a beautiful baby girl. I'm gonna be the best father I can, and I'm just glad the truth is out.
Ms. Renfro says that Mr. Toozy is a complete deadbeat and is running away from his responsibilities as a father to her kid. Mr. Toozy replies that it is impossible to run away from a responsibility that isn't his, and here is how that train wreck starts out.
Ms. Renfro, you claim you are 100% certain that the defendant is the father of your 6-month-old son, Kendall. You say Kendall was born with a serious medical condition.
He don't want to take financial responsibility. He hasn't been there. He wasn't there through my pregnancy. When I had the baby, he wasn't there.
So Mr. Toozy has not shown any care or concern about this baby, despite the fact that the baby has had to go through surgery at such a tender age? That sounds horrible till you hear Mr. Toozy's reasons for doing that.
And I realized the baby just don't look nowhere near like me.
So you admit that you have not stepped up to the plate for the baby because you truly don't believe this child is your child.
Baby, look, the baby looks way too white.
Okay,
I'm white.
so Ms. Renfro,
I'm white.
listen.
Ooh, sounds like Mr. Toozy found what he came for and wanted absolutely nothing to do with Ms. Renfro afterwards. And let's be honest, that is the move of a real deadbeat. No matter what Mr. Toozy says, responsible men just don't do that. But this dude has an excuse.
I'd seen a few text messages from her random
From
ex-boyfriends.
friends. It wasn't
the
no
dudes
ex.
that she had sex with before, and I know this for a fact.
5 months prior to.
What did the text messages say, sir?
I really don't remember what he said. I just kind of glanced through it.
So wait a minute, you saw text messages which indicated that you may not be the biological father of a child and you can't remember none of them?
Okay, Mr. Toozy, you need to give us something to work with here. You can't just insist you are not the father of this baby with proof you don't even have. Something has to be different here.
But only reason why I said it ain't my baby is because I was with this girl 5 years, and we was having unprotected sex, and I didn't get her pregnant. And not only that, about 2 years ago, me and my good friend, we had sex, and she got pregnant, and she tried claiming the baby was mine, and she got a DNA test.
Bold claim, Mr. Toozy. He is basically saying that his gun may be firing, but the chamber is empty. So he has been sleeping with this lady for 5 years without protection, and he has also been doing the same with his girlfriend, and he is yet to have any babies. It is either this man is the luckiest man in the universe, or he is this baby's father. Anyway, this case is about to get a lot more interesting.
Were you intimate with anybody else during
No,
the window
ma'am.
of time when Kendall was conceived?
No, Your Honor.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, I'm 100% sure. I know who my kids belong to. I don't just lay down with everybody. I don't sleep with everybody unprotected. And when I do have sex with
Then
people,
why would you have another guy signing the birth certificate?
because he's been there. Like, he took on that role. He wanted, that was his choice.
Really? I have seen a lot of cases on paternity court. And most times when another dude signs the birth certificate, it means that the dude may also be the child's father. But who knows? Maybe it is totally different for Ms. Renfro here. And still, Mr. Toozy insists.
Don't look nowhere near like me. If the baby was mine, it'd be a little more darker than what it is.
Because you had made it up in your mind.
No,
No, really. I mean, you're going to testify about something. How do you know that?
just because, once again, multiple text messages.
But you still have no proof. Just because he's lied us.
You can't remember the text messages. You don't know what they say.
Now, Judge Lauren has Mr. Toozy on the ropes. Everyone in court is doubting his testimony, but this dude just does not care. He has been through this before with his ex-girlfriend, so maybe he now has experience with keeping his cool? Anyway, there is one more twist here.
So, Ms. Renfro, there's zero doubt in your mind that your son's biological father is Mr. Toozy.
I'm 100% sure that he's the father.
All right, I'd like to hear from your witness. Please stand, ma'am. State your name for the court.
I'm Kristen.
What relationship are you to Ms. Renfro?
This is my best friend. I've known her for like 10 years. She tells me everything.
So Ms. Renfro has her best friend in court today. This means they must have rehearsed what they are going to say, right? Even if she turns out to be lying, she must at least have gotten her stories straight, right? Well, let us see.
Dad, I believe her. I don't believe she's a lie. And if there was a possibility, I think she would tell me about it. Mr. Toozy, he's a good guy, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's doing this purposely because, like he said, she was texting whatever, texting a guy. Well, there was like somebody that she had slept with around time, but it was she was protected.
Hold on, don't gloss over that. Don't talk so fast.
Sorry.
You said there was a guy she had slept with during the time?
Wait, stuff happens? Really? This woman has told the court that there is no other possibility, and then her best friend says there is another possibility, and her reply is to giggle and say, stuff happens, so what happened?
How many men were you sleeping with when you conceived your child?
One.
Testify to that.
One.
Okay, so what's the one your best friend remembers?
Okay, yeah, there was a dude before I got pregnant, but we did use a condom, and it was, I don't know.
So are condoms 100% effective?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so the truth is, the real testimony is, you did have sex with someone else.
Yeah, that is the real testimony. Anyway, it is time to finally get that test result and see who exactly is lying here. Is Ms. Renfrow telling the truth, or did she plan on playing some crazy games?
Mr. Toozy, you are not the father.
Yes!
Oops.
Told you!
Oops. Calm down, Mr.
Calm down.
Toozy. Calm down. This ain't a stadium, and a child's life is truly at stake now.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Renfrow,
Yes, ma'am.
that's not your child's biological father.
That's fine. That is fine. I'm okay with that.
Do you know who is?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Dixon cannot believe that her husband would have the guts to even accuse her of paternity fraud. She might have cheated in the past, but she says all of that is in the past, and her husband should accept her for who she is now. Here is how that insane episode begins.
Mr. Hunt, you state you caught your wife cheating on you and you are convinced you did not father 14-month-old Tanea. You say today's DNA results will determine the future of your marriage. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, Ms. Dixon, you admit that you've been unfaithful in
the past.
In
yes.
the past.
Yes.
And you own that.
Well, that happens fairly often in paternity court. A husband leaves for a while and the wife gets bored. Then she decides that the best thing to do with all the free time she now has is to cheat on her man. But at least he did not catch her cheating in the act, right? It certainly cannot be in the act.
Okay, so when I walk car, I hear the noises and I knock on the window and she blatantly give me the look like, and so what? You see what I'm doing?
And what was she doing?
Cheating. She was with the guy doing whatever she wanted to do.
So your wife was having sex with another man in a car out front of your house?
Yes.
You were trying to get caught.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to be in front of the house.
Wait, what? He caught her right in the act? And she says she allowed him catch her because she wanted to get their relationship back on track? That is a mighty weird way to try to get any relationship back on track. So what happens next?
Due dates from the time I conceived her to the time they said I was due. I didn't sleep with him. That was a one-time thing.
Okay, but that's all it takes.
Yep. Yeah, that's
You
true.
know that.
That's true.
So you had sex with this guy one time out in front of the house.
Yeah.
Was it protected?
No.
So unprotected sex with this guy one time out in front of your house.
And that is how a lifetime of doubt starts. It is still crazy that some lunatic women actually cheat on their partners and don't use protection. I mean, at this point, you are just looking for trouble. So what goes down next?
And so at what point does the doubt kick in?
When I'm thinking about the time, and I'm realizing that I was gone during the whole month of June, and I got back basically July 1st, and
No.
she's trying to tell me that I left.
He was there with me on my birthday, so
I left
how
the
were
whole
you,
month
how
of
did
June.
you
I
get
did
back
not
in
come
July?
Wait, hold up. What does he mean he wasn't there but his brother was there? Why would that matter? What is Mr. Hunt trying to say here? Does he mean that Ms. Dixon was sleeping with his brother?
Wasn't even there for
So
that.
are you insinuating that you believe your brother could be Tanea's biological father?
It's a possibility.
Or what relation to the defendant?
I'm her aunt.
You are the plaintiff's aunt.
Oh, yes.
But wait a minute,
She
Miss
just let
Cooper,
me know
hold
that
on.
it was there.
Miss Cooper,
What's your motive?
explain to the court.
This is insane. His own brother? That is the sort of craziness that you'd think is too imaginative even for TV. And now Ms. Dixon's aunt is saying that her kid may actually belong to her husband's brother. And oh boy, it gets worse.
And then me sleeping with someone whose blood related to him. What characteristics have I shown you as you being my auntie?
She admitted to it on couples court. She admitted this.
I admitted to it being a
this is
possibility of the guy I slept with not sleeping with
Okay.
your brother.
Okay,
that's overboard.
I'm trying to get all possibilities out of the way.
Well, you will get all the apologies you want, Ms. Dixon, as long as the DNA test results come out straight. And if they don't, well, you know what that means, don't you? Anyway, there is one more twist coming up.
Katisha Dixon,
And what is your relationship to Ms. Dixon?
her mother.
Okay. Now, who do you think is Tanea's biological father?
You just need to stay and mind your own business. That's what you need to do.
You put me in the business. I'm all the way here.
Ain't nobody put you in nothing. You being
Well, I'm
nosy
here.
and stuff. You act like you seen them doing it.
So hold on. So Miss
If the months don't add up, what are we doing here then? It just means that Mr. Hunt is definitely the father of this baby, right? That is all it has to mean. Anyway, let us get all the cards laid on the table. Mr. Hunt's brother is here too. Let us see what he has to say.
That indicates that you potentially could have gotten into a sexual relationship with Ms. Dixon and could be Tanea's biological father. Do you believe you are Tanea's biological father?
No, ma'am.
Do you admit to having a sexual relationship with Ms. Dixon?
No, ma'am. Past the cheating part. But what keeps bringing that up is the doubt that he has about his child.
Ms. Dixon wants this paternity results to help save her marriage and her family. The only problem here is that the test results may not save her family, but may actually destroy it. There is only one way to know.
Mr. Chris Hunt, you are not the father. Mr. Stephen Hunt, you are not the father.
Who is the daddy?
You are not the biological.
No.
Who the daddy, Janae?
No, it's no possibility of nobody else being her dad. Except for the guy that I cheated with, but...
The DNA doesn't lie.
Mr. Wilson can bet everything he owns on the fact that he is not the biological father of Ms. Butler's 2 kids. Ms. Butler says that is a total lie, and she has been faithful to Mr. Wilson. This couple have 4 children between them, so you know the results of this test has far-reaching consequences.
Mr. Wilson, I'll start with you. You say you are adamant that these 2 children are not yours. Explain.
When we first got together, at the time she had the baby, she was a liar, cheating all the time, had multiple guys running out of the house, all on the internet. I mean, go to the apartment, everybody talking about who she messing with.
So you say these kids aren't yours?
No, they're not mine.
That is a very strong way to describe someone who has 4 kids with you. This means that Mr. Wilson certainly has a lot of evidence to prove his case, right? Well, let us see. Let us see what Mr. Wilson has to say.
So let's start with Zariah. Can you take me to the nature of your relationship around the time Zariah was conceived? Where were you in your relationship?
She was living at home with her parents at the time, and one time I go up to her job to see her at work, take her some lunch, and I seen her get out of another guy's car. And I got a cell phone, and I seen that she'd been in a whole nother relationship with this other guy.
Hold on now, Ms. Butler. The things you are saying sound kind of nuts. Of course you can be in a relationship even if you are not living with someone. She says she loves him, but Mr. Wilson says that is nonsense.
I mean, I did love him though, I really did, but...
No, she didn't.
I did love you, but I just...
I mean, if you love me, you wouldn't have never called at work with another guy. And I read the text messages, calling him daddy and all that stuff, and yes.
One.
Her family didn't want us to be together because of age difference.
Okay.
I understand that, She sending naked pictures of other guys. The same picture she sent me.
You sending the pictures out?
Yeah, I did. One time I did, I can't remember. Yeah, I did do that.
You did?
Yeah.
So you sent some sexy pictures to your boyfriend and you sent the same pictures to multiple guys.
It was about...
Oh, if you want to get a paternity doubt, that is exactly how you get one. You start sending naked pictures of yourself to multiple guys. You really can't blame Mr. Wilson here. Any other man would think the same, but Mr. Wilson has even more evidence.
I was going to take a lunch, and she worked late, so I was going to take a lunch, being a good man. And nobody couldn't find it. I couldn't find it at work. I looked up, she getting out of the car with this other dude and bumped right into me. She got her head down and bumped right into me. And that's when she dropped the phone. I picked up the phone, and I just pushed her out the way and left. And she screaming for a cell phone. I got in the car and left. And that's when I read the phone. That's when she calling the other dude daddy and all that.
Someone else, do you remember talking about their candy cane?
I know the guy he's talking about. I mean, I did see him, and we did try to have sex a couple of times, but we...
How can you try to have sex?
Yeah, Ms. Butler, that excuse just won't fly here. What do you mean try? You either do or you do not. There is no try. And the fact that you have even confessed to trying just means we should assume that you eventually went the whole mile. But wait, it gets worse.
I mean, we try to use the little condom, but we stopped, and it didn't happen. Like, he never or anything.
Let's say there was actual sexual contact,
yeah,
but he didn't finish the act.
Yeah, because I end up stopping.
And she talking about she wasn't going to do it no more. And, doing the line like she always do. She a habitual liar. And I thought we was being back together. So after we had the baby, I thought we was going to start all over brand new. It didn't She still did the same thing.
Wait, so they actually got naked, undressed, he put on a condom, the whole thing fit, and then went at it. But we are supposed to believe they did not get intimate because the man did not finish? Come on now, Ms. Butler, that is insane. Here is what Mr. Wilson thought when he found out she was pregnant.
In my back of my mind, I knew the baby wasn't mine. But I thought it was so many different men.
And so what do you say? Do you remember that day, Miss Butler?
Yes, I said the baby is definitely his. Like, I already knew it, like, the baby's his.
How did you know that?
Because, like, we will always have sex, like, all the time with, like, without no condom. And that time, I really wasn't really messing with anybody, really.
You really wasn't messing with anybody? Really? Really, Ms. Butler? That does not sound like what someone who wasn't really messing with anybody really would say. It sounds like you were messing with at least some people, but let us move on.
You even with him?
For real.
Cause I do like love him. I just don't know why. I don't know, but I did love him though. I actually did. We'll always have sex like all the time.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we had my phone at the hospital, so I would have definitely had called him. So.
Oh, he wasn't even there.
No, ma'am.
Cause my phone, I didn't have my phone around that time.
They got phones at the hospital. They got a way to get in contact. She didn't call me till 3 hours later after the baby was
Wait
born.
a minute, you went to the hospital? You were in a relationship and you went to the hospital and had the baby without even letting them know?
Didn't let me know. The other guy must have been there.
Like I said, I didn't have my phone.
Really? What is she even talking about? 3 hours later? That is when she say it fit to let him know he was about to have a child? That is insane. Why would she do something so crazy? And hey, it gets worse too.
I gave the nurse came in and asked me what the baby's name gonna be. So she gave the baby's first name, and at the time I thought it could be my baby. So I told her the last name would be Wilson, my last name. So the next day, I go to the hospital, because they took the baby to another hospital. Come back here, go back there, the lady gave us our paperwork, it's back Butler. So I asked her, I'm like, how's the baby
Because
Butler?
you've been denying the baby, that's why. So
this is crazy. Ms. Butler has put up no defense for her behavior, and she has basically made herself look the fool throughout this case. Hopefully, the DNA test shows Mr. Wilson is the father, because if it doesn't, then we have a real case on our hands.
it hurts, it's sad. Because I tell him all the time. He keeps saying the same thing. It does hurt, though.
It hurts in what way?
Cause like, he should know.
How should I know?
Like, we always have sex like all the time.
Are not the father.
Told you.
Ms. Davis says that Mr. Cole originally accepted her daughter Autumn, but changed his mind abruptly and moved out of the home. Now she wants to prove, once and for all, that he is the father of her child.
Mr. Cole, you admit to initially accepting Autumn as yours and even signing her birth certificate, but now claim that Ms. Davis is untrustworthy and sneaky. You say there are too many facts that don't add up and there is no way you are her child's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Davis, how does it feel knowing Mr. Cole is denying your daughter?
I feel hurt, angry, disappointed how he all of a sudden not claiming my daughter. He is the only man that I've been with since February.
So, Mr. Cole, you're not claiming the baby? You don't think it's yours?
Yes, I claim the baby. I still take care of the baby. And
You do?
yes, anything she asks for, I do for the baby.
Wait, so he is not really denying that he is the baby's biological father. He is just questioning it? Well, Mr. Cole says he has what we call sincere doubt in the business, and believes that doubt only goes away with a paternity test. What does Ms. Davis think?
Yes, I had met Mr. Cole at a basketball game, a homecoming game, and we had Google eyes with each other. We had changed numbers, and we had chill a couple times.
So you continue this relationship, and at some point you find out you're pregnant?
Yes, ma'am. After me and Adrian have sex a couple times in February, I have found out I was pregnant March 21st. I was 4 weeks pregnant.
Like a week later, and someone walked up to me. She wasn't even pregnant that long, and people were walking up to me saying that the baby might not be mine, you know.
Oh.
And then after a guy wrote her in her messages and was mad that she was pregnant. He wrote her right after she told me she was pregnant.
Oh, now that is nasty. Ms. Davia insists she was seeing Mr. Cole throughout February and says her dates match up. But Mr. Cole says that he saw a message where a guy texted her immediately after she told him she was pregnant. This means that she might have been seeing both of them around the same time. Here is what she says about that.
He was the only person I was intimate in February and March. My ex-boyfriend, I had stopped intimate with him in January. It was the beginning of January.
So, Mr. Cole, you then start getting people coming up to you saying this isn't your baby.
Yes, ma'am. And I was just start asking her questions about the guy. She didn't give me any credible answers that I could believe. So I was really having doubts, and I wanted to go get a DNA test myself, but I couldn't really get one.
You couldn't get the DNA test?
They wouldn't let me because I had signed the birth certificate.
Now, that sounds like a mistake. If you even have a silver of doubt, do not sign the birth certificate. Do not do it. If you do it and the baby is not yours, you might still be on the hook for raising the baby. But it isn't all Mr. Cole's fault.
Yes, I didn't initially sign it at the hospital because I told her after we had the baby that I wanted a DNA test. And she at the hospital and she got...
At some point, your name got on it.
Yeah, like 2 months after she was born. Because my family had got in my head and she looks just like you, that's your twin.
And you accepted Autumn as yours, or you still had doubt?
I accepted her as mine.
You did?
Yes.
Because your family had convinced you?
Yes, ma'am, but then like 2 years, she was about 2, she uploads a picture on one of her social medias. The same guy who wrote her when she first got pregnant writes her again and says, your daughter looks like my kid.
Really? That is cold. But what is this picture she uploaded on the internet all about? Why would her ex just comment that the kid looks just like his kids? Well, it turns out that Ms. Davis turned into Ms. Polster USA when it came to the question of paternity.
I did that because, like he said, people was coming up to him asking him was Autumn his, and I just did a split image of those three and was asking the same people who does Autumn look like more, because I'm 100% sure that Adrian is the father of Autumn, and I was getting other people's opinions and everything, and they all said that Adrian's.
Where would you get in your mind that you're gonna split screen your daughter's face with 2 different guys and send it out to take a poll?
That's what I said.
I was just mad and angry.
Who were you mad at?
I was mad at him because he was going around also and was telling people, I have doubts that Autumn was mine, because people also was coming to me and tell me that Adrian's not.
I was going around trying to get a DNA test.
But he had signed the birth certificate at this point, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So he was legally Autumn's father.
Yeah.
And after that, you still split screened her with the other guy and Mr. Cole and was blasting it out to people saying, what do you think?
Yes.
That is the real deal here. Even after signing the birth certificate and all of that, Ms. Davis still went all split screenery trying to get if other people believed her child looked like her ex-boyfriend. That is the signs of a woman who is very insecure about the truth here. Anyway, we have a witness who is Ms. Davis's twin sister. Here is what she has to say.
What do you know about the timeline of intimacy as it relates to Autumn's paternity?
Let me just say, Your Honor, that Mr. Cole is a great father to baby Autumn. He's very active in her life. However, my sister did admit to me that she had sex with another guy 2 days before she had sex with Adrian. But that was just that one time, and Your Honor, and she been having sex with Adrian ever since February and in March, and he's just been there. So I'm 100% sure that Adrian's the father.
No, I did not tell her 2 days. I had sex with the other guy in the beginning of January. I didn't tell her.
That's 2 different statements. Beginning of January doesn't sound nothing like 2 days.
But I didn't tell her that I had sex with him 2 days before I had sex with Adrian.
Well, surely your sister wouldn't just make this up. She's called into court today to tell the truth.
But I didn't tell her.
Whoa. Did they not rehearse this testimony at home? Or is Ms. Davis's sister just making up lies here? But that sounds way too specific to be a lie. Ms. Davis insists this is a lie. Let's see if we can get more clarification.
I remember her saying 2 days before she had sex with Adrian.
So if that's the case, the 2 days before you started having sex with Mr. Cole would have been around February the 11th, and that would be the other guy. Why would a question concerning paternity or a conversation concerning paternity even be relevant or of issue where you would be having this conversation with your twin sister if there was absolutely no other guy in the picture ever besides Mr. Cole?
She knew about the other guy in January after I told her, but I did not tell her that I had sex 2 days before I had sex with Adrian. I didn't tell her that, but she also knew about the other guy before Adrian.
And you specifically remember it, Ms. Davis?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Ms. Davis will look pretty dumb here if the results eventually shows that her baby belongs to another man and not Mr. Cole. But Ms. Davis is a 100% sure that will never happen. Anyway, here is what she tells her twin sister.
Why your sister, your twin sister, would get up in this courtroom and just make up a fabrication.
I don't know why she'd do that either.
That's what you told me.
I did not tell you that.
Oh well. I guess there is only one way to settle this, and it is by getting the DNA test results. Let us see if Ms. Davis's twin sister just came to court to make up impossible lies, or maybe something else is going on here.
Case of Davis versus Cole. When it comes to 3-year-old Autumn Cole, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Cole, you are not the father.
Mr. Avant wants to know if he is father of 7-year-old Jamitya, and Ms. Hatton says he should not bother. She is certain he is the father. She completely insists that he is the father and believes the DNA test will prove she is right.
So, Mr. Avant, how have your doubts affected your family?
It has affected my family tremendously, Your Honor. Me and Miss Hatton was engaged to get married. We eventually called it off. I'm connected to Jamitya like no other way. I have her name tattooed on my right arm on the inside of it. I've been in Jamitya's life since she's been born. When Miss Hatton told me she was pregnant, I asked her then, "Are you sure?"
No, he did not.
I did too.
He didn't.
She stated yes. Who
would say something like that?
I was told that it was a possibility that she might have had sex with somebody else. I also found messages in her phone showing that she was talking to her ex and telling him that they was gonna be together. She loved him. So this is an issue for me because we're constantly going back and forth where she's talking to her ex and he is thinking that the baby is his. And at the same time, you're telling me that the baby is
Your
mine.
Honor,
This is crazy. And remember that they are living together during this time too. They are under the same roof, and Mr. Avant is discovering texts from her ex talking about the paternity of his daughter. But it gets even worse.
Question her about
He
it.
did not question me.
And Miss Hatton said, "Why are you worried about the messages? I lay with you every night." And I said, "Yeah, this is true."
That is not even
But at
how
the same
this came
time that you're
about.
laying
Not
with
at
me
all.
every night, you're telling him
Not at all.
that
Your
y'all
Honor,
are going to be together, that you love him.
When it came up to me being pregnant, I lived with my aunt. Jamal came over that day because we took multiple tests to figure out, okay, I am pregnant.
This other guy, was he in the picture?
No, he wasn't in the picture. He was around asking about the baby. Are you guys gonna let me come and actually go to the doctor since this is a possibility that I could be the father of her?
And how did you respond?
I told him I would talk to Jamal about it. Whenever I talked to Mr.
That's not
Avant
true,
about it, he would go off about it. He's like, he doesn't need to be here.
Wait, did Mr. Avant know that this kid could belong to another person from the very beginning? And now she is standing in court saying that Mr. Avant is certainly the father. How did she get rid of her doubts?
I was involved. Me and him hadn't had unprotected sex since September. Me and Mr. Avant had, the first time we had sex was in October.
Was the 11th of October to be exact. And when we had sex on the 11th of October, at that time, we did have unprotected sex.
Yes, we did.
A couple of weeks later, Mrs. Hatton is saying that she's pregnant.
Mr. Avant was on the phone with me when I found out I was pregnant. He was the first person to know about it.
Okay, that sounds all well and good, but that cannot be the whole reason, right? There has to be something else, right? Was she not aware of the difference in dates when she was pregnant with the baby? Well, when did Mr. Avant start to doubt anyway?
Doubt.
I started to doubt in the beginning, and then I started to doubt more after I started hearing stuff from her family saying that she's not trustworthy, that some of the stuff she say is not true. It came up a point that the doctor, the first OBGYN, had gave us a first due date. That first due date was July around the 14th. She ended up switching OBGYNs and going into a new one. The new OBGYN said the date was going to be August 25th.
That is so not true.
That's a whole 5-week window.
Not even true.
Wow, you got two different due dates that far apart?
Yes, but on the birth certificate, my daughter was born July the 16th. Now, my mom said, give or take days.
Evidence of
When a woman starts messing with due dates and things like that, you know there is something wrong with her claims. But let us hear the full story. Maybe there is some context we are missing.
In your evidence, you have presented a calendar to the court that shows what the first due date was supposed to be. It was supposed to be July 16th.
Correct.
And then you say the due date was revised
to the 25th,
of August.
It was
that is
revised
completely
to the
off.
25th of August.
That is completely off.
The new OBGYN also explained that your conception date didn't add up as well.
No, she said
So
my
the
estimated date that I put as my last menstrual period changed my due date from the 14th of July to the 25th.
Hold on, October 13th.
I had sex with Miss Hatton on the 11th of October. I know for a fact.
On the 11th?
Yes.
All right, so she remembers the 13th.
I got paid from work the exact same day.
Okay, what does that have to do with anything?
I mean, I can add my dates up.
If we hit calculate, you get the birth date should be July 16th, 2014. When was Jamitya born?
July 16th, 2014.
It seems that Ms. Hatton was correct. She actually gave birth on the right date, and all of that adds up. So what is Mr. Avant's headache? Why is he being so difficult? Well, it seems there is a reason for that.
Time because we was trying to break Mrs. Hatton water to go ahead and get Jamethia's here. And what I mean by we was trying to break her water, we was having sex, she tried castor oil, she was eating spicy food. I even scraped the cervix to try to break her water.
Not true, Your Honor.
This is true. And then at the hospital, we was informed, yes, you are really in labor. Her doctor even came in and said, well, I guess your labor is going to be early. I guess we won't have to wait.
No, she did not say that my labor was going to be early. She said, okay, she's about to come. My doctor didn't even come in to actually deliver my child until my child was almost here.
So let us get back to where we were. Ms. Hatton insists that her proof is that her daughter arrived on the right day. This means that Mr. Avant has to be the father, but that does not really prove anything. She could have cheated. So what about the birth certificate? Whose name is on it?
He actually, Your Honor, he filled out the birth certificate himself. I didn't see the birth certificate until I purchased it. Mr. Avant signed it.
Because when
he wrote it out, everything.
When the paperwork was presented to us for the birth certificate and also for the legitimization paperwork, I asked Ms. Hatton, did you want to fill it out or do you want me to?
At this time, I said, I will let my aunt fill it out. He said, no, I want to fill it out.
Either you can fill it out or I can let my auntie fill it out when she come back up.
No, I did not.
And so I filled it out.
But if you had a doubt, why sign?
Exactly. Why sign the birth certificate? Why did you get her name tattooed on you? Why have you been here this whole time? In the beginning, Your Honor, I told him from day one,
Jamethia,
if he felt like it wasn't his, he didn't have to be
It's not about me and Miss Hatton. It's about Jamethia.
It is.
I've been in Jamethia's life before she was born, and I'm still here. I'm connected to Jamethia, so it's gonna be hard for me to leave Jamethia.
Mr. Avant clearly loves this baby so much. We can only hope that the DNA test comes out and proves that he is the father. Anyway, Mr. Avant isn't done with making his own accusations.
Of our daughter, when she was sitting in her car seat, she was smiling, cheesing real hard. He did a picture as well with him smiling and cheesing real hard and posted it. What do you think about my kid, Your Honor? And as a matter of fact,
the picture, me and Mr. Avant were sitting at home on the sofa. He was like, "Hey, what you looking at?" I said, "I'm looking at this." I said, "Look at this. Look what he posted on Instagram."
And I
like,
spazzed,
really?
Your Honor.
Why are you letting him do that? Why are you letting him do that? I told him to take it down. What he said is Jamal shouldn't be so insecure when he knows it's his baby. Is what he said.
What is the purpose?
They look exactly
regardless of whether the fact that's my baby or not.
Everything about them looks just
what
like.
is the purpose?
Your Honor, can I show you?
That is insane and places a lot of doubt on the paternity of this kid. It does not look or sound like Mr. Avant is the father. There are really too many red flags here. There is only one way to find the truth out.
Now I have to go back to my son and tell him, you ain't got a sister. You still the only child. I now have to...
Results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Avant versus Hatton, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Avant are not Jamethia's father.
Lunatic women on paternity court.
Why would you let somebody sign a birth certificate?
I didn't let you. You did it on your own.
How did he do it on his own? Did the hospital get the information from you?
No, they asked him, was he the father? And he told them yes.
Do you have feelings for this other guy?
No, I don't. I mean, if he's the father, I'm gonna let him be in his life. I'm not gonna keep.
Mr. Howard invited me to a Howard family reunion.
Lies. That is a total lie.
Looking at this couple, you could tell they just weren't meant for each other. Mrs. Johnson dragged Mr. Johnson to court on the matter of him not being a good dad. Was Mr. Johnson having any of it? Hell no! Let's get this parenting drama on the road, shall we? Mr. and Mrs. Johnson have been at each other's throats for quite some time now. Having been married for up to 7 years, their marriage has crash-landed from a state of bad to worse. And the shocking thing here, it's all because of their 12-year-old kid. Trust me, it's crazy!
Now, Mr. Johnson, you admit that your marriage is at its breaking point, but you argue that it's because your wife undermines your authority and allows her 12-year-old son to disrespect you.
Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Johnson went on and on about how Mr. Johnson wasn't threatening both of their kids. In her words, he had a favorite one.
He shows blatant favoritism. I'm angry. I just want my kids to feel equal. I want my oldest son to feel love.
When you say he shows favoritism,
you can bet Mr. Johnson wasn't just going to let her run her mouth. He comes in like a blazing inferno, telling her she's to be blamed. It's like a war zone in the courtroom.
For an example, I put my kids in baseball. He would participate in our son Ethan's, and he would never participate in Elijah's.
That's not true
that
at all.
photo right there was Elijah's birthday, and I took him to the go-karts, and he was supposed to meet us after work and didn't even show up.
As they kept trolling each other in the courtroom like it was another WWE wrestling match, mind-blowing revelations started to pop out. Believe me, these revelations will leave your jaws dropping from your mouth.
My son, we took like a safari ride, and he said, oh, well, me and Ethan will ride on this one, and you and Elijah can ride on that. And it just hurts my son's feelings because he never shows that extra step to where...
She doesn't enforce me as a father figure. I'm the father that's there.
Because he's been in his life since he was 2 years old, and he should take that extra step on his own.
After Mrs. Johnson was done throwing shades at her husband in the courtroom, it was Mr. Johnson's turn to spill the beans. And my God, did he have a lot to say about Mrs. Johnson and their 12-year-old boy. It was like a love series that was unending.
Elijah's disrespectful to me, to her,
but he's disrespectful
to everyone.
The rants go on, and Mr. Johnson keeps pouring out his mind like a wounded lion. Does it end there? Of course not. Mrs. Johnson, filled with rage, jumps into the ring again and starts throwing shots at her husband. She even calls him a kid! These two can't wait to rip each other apart in the courtroom.
He disrespects everybody. He disrespects his brother. He disrespects me, his mother. He talks back. When me and him were left alone, with me, him, and my other son, and they're fighting for about 2 hours straight, nonstop. She comes home, I tell her what happened, I tell her that they're not listening, and instead of disciplining the kids, she fights with me.
He's the one acting like he's 12, too.
Mrs. Johnson's dad walks up to the stage and drops bombs on bombs, countering every single word Mr. Johnson says. It was almost like her dad was her husband's biggest oppie.
I see Elijah being left out on a lot of things. The ice cream, you ask Ethan to pick up your room. It's like, would you pick up your room? What's wrong with you? Why aren't
we here for the way you talk to Ethan?
You know, talk to him like a human being, not like an animal that did something wrong.
Man just stood there, throwing heavy blows at Mr. Johnson. It was a tug of war, and nobody wanted to be beaten. Knowing Mr. Johnson, you could bet he was ready for his comeback. As soon as Mrs. Johnson's dad was done talking, boom! He came with his comebacks that hit like bullets shot by a firing squad.
Wait. Doesn't that go for both?
Grandfather.
Doesn't that go for both kids, though? Wouldn't that go for both children, not just Elijah? Like what Ethan, my son, he does the same thing. He babies Elijah. Oh, it'll be okay.
Shouldn't yell at Ethan
oh, it'll be
like
okay.
that.
You yell at him. Your daughter will admit it.
So now you're saying...
The moment of truth was finally here. But the air was thick with uncertainty as to whether their marriage was going to be saved or shattered for good. Time to see what the future holds for them. I hope you guys are ready.
Is it safe to say that we're going to work on this marriage?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. So we won't be needing this, right?
Right.
Fantastic. Court is adjourned.
So, Mr. Ahmad, our dear plaintiff, thought he hit the parenting jackpot, only to be crushed under a shocking revelation. But now he was here ready and charged to get this baby girl back. Buckle up, it's a wild ride! So the baby daddy was over the moon with the baby news. And by the looks of it, the poor guy had been waiting a long time for this to happen.
This is to be my first child, so I was overjoyed. She was high risk, so she couldn't work. So what I did, I tried to do as best as a man that I could do.
So the doubts and reservations surrounding the whole situation were killing him. Whether Mr. Ahmad was happy or not, Miss Day, on the other hand, had a ton of commitment issues. She was calling it a friendship, but did not feel the love in whatever these guys shared. Ouch. It's like a romantic comedy, minus the romance and the comedy.
I told him the truth from the beginning, that she might not be his. He said he wanted to be her father and he would be there for us.
Talk to me about the relationship from your point of view.
It was more of a friendship for me. I loved Mr. Ahmad, but I wasn't in love with him.
Ahmad's heart is swelling with joy over the prospect of being a dad. But Miss Day? She's whispering doubts in his ear, questioning his paternity skills. It's a heartbreak in the making, and someone's gonna need a pop culture-sized tissue for this emotional roller coaster.
We never lived together.
She was at my residence every day.
That's not true. We didn't even get along that much. I was not at his house every day. We argued so much, I never lived with him.
Hold the phone now! Because it appears the plaintiff was not a goody two-shoes either. Oh, yeah! Ms. Day was spilling some real tea over his behavior with her, though the baby daddy was having none of it. Cue the dramatic music, please.
I've never known another man. She's been.
That's not
I
true.
went to work.
When I told him
and I
he was
came home.
intoxicated, and he kicked me out the same night that I told him.
I disagree with that because now I feel like you're trying to make me feel some kind of way.
Now, while Mr. Ahmad was living in a she might be mine nightmare, he was still involved in the whole journey. However, Mommy did not want him to sign the birth certificate. Any guesses what he did?
I was present the entire time she was pregnant. I cut the umbilical cord. I signed the birth certificate.
I asked him not to sign my baby's birth certificate until we get a DNA.
Moving on, the judge dug deeper into hospital protocol and uncovered some very interesting information. According to that policy, the father can only sign if the mother provides the necessary information. Fasten your seatbelts. We're diving into birth certificate chaos.
I put my name and her name.
But you did not put his name?
No, I did not.
At all?
No, I did not. But I gave my baby his name because he was there. The other person was not there.
It appears Mommy took a U-turn when the baby girl stopped resembling the plaintiff, though she claimed to have been truthful from the start. Her social media, on the other hand, told an entirely different story.
She looks like his kids. She looks like him. She don't look like Mr. Ahmad at all anymore.
And so, do you admit that you led Mr. Ahmad to believe that he was her biological father?
No, I told him the truth from the beginning.
Enter the second baby daddy, aka Mr. Flowers, who gave his 2 cents on the whole situation. Now he claimed to just be here for the results. However, Mommy claimed to have a much deeper connection with the guy, and Mr. Ahmad did not like that testimony. The moment of truth was finally here, but the air was thick with uncertainty. Mr. Ahmad's emotions were juggling between love for the baby and the fear of a plot twist. Time to see what the future holds for them.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Flowers.
Mr. Byram had no idea he was signing up for a lifetime of drama when he hooked up with Miss Morris. And my God, was their relationship more chaotic than a Mexican cartel. I hope you guys are ready for this baby daddy drama because it's going to leave you speechless. Trust me.
Byram, you say the plaintiff admitted to sleeping with another man, and when the results prove you are not Jackson's father, you plan to leave for good.
Yes, I do.
His face could tell you that he had been through the thicks and turns of a disloyal relationship. He didn't want to be part of that anymore. What was worse? He wasn't even sure if he was the father of their child. Believe me when I tell you, it was a hustle with these two.
This is the second time she's done this to me. Since we've been together, this isn't just the first time that she's cheated on me. This is the second time.
Second time, it happened once.
Ms. Morris, did you cheat on him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Byram, playing the detective role, had a funny feeling in his gut that his girlfriend had been messing around. He was hell-bent on proving it, so all his senses were alert like he was Spider-Man throughout their relationship. What he uncovered would leave you speechless.
At first, through the window. And then, that's when I started banging on the doors and the windows. And then I go in the house. He's hiding up in the attic of her grandma's house.
How did you find him in the attic?
I started searching the house because I had a feeling that they were together.
He found out that his girlfriend had been cheating on him with one of his close friends. Hold up! The juice from this story doesn't just end there. When Miss Morris is asked if she did cheat, she doesn't deny it. I mean, was she excited that she did?
How do you end up sleeping with his friend?
We were having trouble way before I even slept with his friend. I was always constantly getting accused. He's always constantly telling me I'm cheating. It's been happening for 4 years now.
He keeps accusing you, so you just go ahead and validate the accusation?
Well, we split up for a month.
Oh, trust me, Mr. Byram was beyond pissed. He found out that his girlfriend didn't just cheat on him once with his friend. Apparently, they were in a relationship. Now that's really messed up. How do you even do such a thing? It's really unbelievable.
They were in a relationship after I moved out.
We were in a
They got
relationship
together.
when me and him split up for that month.
No, they were together from like July all the way until November. This isn't just a month thing. This was like a 4-month
we were in a
thing.
potential
And then you-
relationship.
Things start to spiral out of control as more mysteries behind their damaged relationship start to show themselves. Mr. Byram has been trying to bond with his kid, but it's not just working for him. Whenever he looks at the kid, all he sees is his friend's face. Ouch! That must be upsetting.
So you do admit you're having a hard time bonding with
Yes.
Jackson because you don't know.
I still buy him clothes and toys and do whatever for him, but I keep my distance from him because I don't know if he's my son.
The whole drama from these two gives you a lot of adrenaline rush. Miss Morris eventually admits that what she did was completely wrong, and hopefully they could work things out and be happy again. But is that what Mr. Byram wants? I very much doubt that.
I want to be with him. I do not want to be with the other guy. He constantly tells me I do, and I don't. I'm ready to basically move on with our family. I understand the mistakes that I made. I at least admitted to it. I came out and said what I did.
Well, there's no going back now. The situation is just very messed up, but the truth is about to be unleashed. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. Will they be able to save their relationship, or is this goodbye? The answers lie in front of the judge.
Mr. Byram, you are the father.
Yes. Yes.
After finding out she had a terminal illness, Miss Holshoe seeks to uncover the true identity of who her biological father is, only to find out the most shocking surprises on her journey. It's one roller coaster to the next in this episode. Let's dive right into it.
Miss Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Now things get really heated in a matter of seconds. It felt like they all hated themselves from their previous lives. Apparently, the alleged father had passed away. But his daughters, for sure, weren't going to welcome Miss Holshoe with open arms.
Because my mother and Mr. Howard both told me that he was my father, and also family members on his side of the family have also said that I'm his daughter.
Miss Holshoe found out she had a real dad in the most awkward way. Trust me, your mind isn't going to believe what you're about to hear. Her stepdad and mom were having an argument. Boom! The bomb drops and she can't believe what she hears.
Because my stepdad was drunk and he was fighting with my mother, and he said, well, who do you think your father is? And so after that, my mother told me, and she took me and introduced me to DL, and we had a relationship from then on.
Now the sisters, for sure, weren't going easy on Miss Holshoe. They felt she was an imposter who was trying to spoil their family's name. They stood their ground and denied every single thing Miss Holshoe said in the courtroom. Trust me, it was quite a show.
They were sitting in a booth with my dad across from her and her mother. I was standing at the end, and he said, I just brought you guys here to let you know that she's your sister. And that was the one and only time that my dad ever mentioned her till the day he died.
He had never
Ever.
mentioned it to any of the rest of us.
Some really interesting stories started to fly around the courtroom. Everyone was trying to air out their minds and beliefs. In the process, some nasty revelations jumped out. Trust me, they weren't nice, and some of it was just super fishy. But Miss Holshoe stood her ground.
Can I also say, when I was in California living with my father, we had packed up our things and moved out because my father had gone to at the bar where her mother was working and caught her cheating on him. That gave me the thought that obviously her mother probably has no idea who any of her children belong to.
The courtroom was pretty heated up at this point, with both parties throwing shades at each other. Another of their sisters walks into the courtroom. Surprisingly, she's on Miss Holshoe's side. She believes that there is a chance that Miss Holshoe is her sister. Now that's interesting, wouldn't you say?
I believe that she is.
You do? Tell the court why.
Because my father told me that she was.
She just needs a family, Your Honor, because her whole family, she's shut out.
Now she had quite a lot to say. Not only did she back up Miss Holshoe's claim of being their sister, she also said their father was no saint. He was also messing around with another woman. Wow.
He is our hero to this day. And I'm not going to bash him, but yes, he loved women. And that's just the way it was. Some men hunt, some men don't.
The tension was palpable. But no worries, because the moment of truth was here. Time to spill the beans on whether she was really his daughter or it was all a joke. All eyes were on the judge as she got ready to give the final verdict. Cue the mic drop.
In the case of Holshoe versus Howard, it has been determined by this court that the probability of half siblingship is 98.1%.
I knew it.
Now I can promise you that this particular case will leave you imagining the wildest things and asking yourself, how can this even be possible? Well, I hope you're ready, guys, because you are definitely about to be wowed. It all started in an outrageous manner, with Mr. Morris claiming to have only fathered one child out of the pair of twins that were born by his girlfriend, Miss Thorpe. Does that even make any sense? How do you father one child out of a pair of twins? Damn!
Originally, I was believed that both of them was mine. Over time, made me feel like neither were mine. And then after that, different things happened that made me believe just London was.
Now their relationship didn't particularly start off as the typical Sleeping Beauty and Princess Charming kind of story. There were loopholes, trust me, and Miss Thorpe didn't waste any time in stating them without hesitation.
I told Antoine that I wanted to be in a relationship with him, and he turned me down because he was still in love with the mother of his other child. So when that time happened, I got upset and I started messing with another guy.
Now Miss Thorpe finds out she's pregnant, and of course she tells Mr. Morris. Is he happy about it? Well, he sure is, and he seems like the happiest man in the world. But all good things don't last now, do they? Let's find out.
I was very, very happy. Like, I went all out. I bought two of everything. It cost a lot. It was bassinets here, strollers there, car seats, doing her pregnancy. Try to make her as comfortable as possible. She hungry every day. I gotta feed her.
In no time, the sweet baby daddy turned into the doubtful baby daddy. He starts asking himself questions like, are they really mine? Should I get a DNA test done? What if she lied to me from the beginning? All shades of doubt start to settle in Mr. Morris's head.
Like I say, just
All right, so you send the results in, and of course, how do they come back?
0% probability.
But you do understand that you didn't even use the swabs right.
I would just hope, I don't know.
Now finding out the twins aren't his, he texts his baby mama being all angry and furious. When he doesn't get a reply from her, what does he do? He goes to social media and posts the news everywhere, saying he isn't the kid and his baby mama lied to him. Trust me, he's one crazy person.
He actually texted me and told me that the DNA test came back and that the twins were not his. At the time, I didn't respond automatically because, like I said, I was at work. So he ended up getting very upset and ended up posting it all over social media and telling everybody.
The bombshells continue to drop and things start to blow out of proportion. Another surprise comes in. Boom! Mr. Morris wasn't the regular old Mr. Good Guy he was claiming to be. He got another woman pregnant. Oops, now that's a lot from him. Oh, trust me, Judge Lauren was about to lose her cool.
Oh, you had two women pregnant at the same time?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you on team too much all the way around.
Well, the suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Morris and Miss Thorpe. All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth. Get ready, paternity folks.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Morris, you are not the father.
She lied to me and she lied to my daughter. When she first got pregnant, she said I was the dad. And after
29 years, I come to find out now that I might, a possibility that I'm not the father.
But you know deep down there's another possible father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why wait so long to tell him?
I told him the first time that we had a court date, but the courts threw it out.
Even
DNA
before
test.
you tell anybody in court. What about just telling him? I want to understand that.
The more I started noticing more of her features, the more she started looking like the other guy.
Jordan, a man who believed he was a father, had his world turned upside down when he found out that the defendant's daughter, Caitlin, was not his, but someone else's. The shocking revelation was that the defendant, Haim, had allegedly tricked him into believing the baby was his. However, what is Haim's version of this story?
Mr. Jordan, you claim the defendant tricked you into signing her daughter's birth certificate and being a daddy. But 2 years later, you were told that another man is her biological father. You opened your case because you want DNA proof you are not the father so you can get your name removed from the birth certificate. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh wow. Jordan adds that he believes her motive for tricking him was because she knew he was a great father and the better option for her daughter. According to him, she became deceitful as a result. However, Haim disagrees.
No, ma'am. He's a great father, and I only had sex with one man when we were together, and I had sex with him one time, but we've been messing around for 7 years, and I never became pregnant. I met Chris, and all of a sudden I came pregnant.
Okay, I don't understand this woman's angle, but let's keep going. Haim claims that the public is influencing Jordan's doubtful thoughts and that the situation hurts her.
Hurt. Because my daughter, she's old enough to realize. She came and asked me, does my dad still love her? It hurt me so bad.
She asked you, does my daddy still love me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Based on Jordan's testimony, things were going well between him and Haim. So where exactly did things start turning sour, and most especially, where did the paternity doubts begin to surface? Let's find out.
This is where it goes wrong. Her and the family member gets into like an altercation or whatnot, like an argument. It wasn't even an altercation, an argument. And it was like they started like throwing dirt on each other, you know what I mean? So she said something about this family member's in front of this family member's boyfriend or whatever.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. Why is Haim smiling like everything Jordan is saying is funny? She's acting funny, and I don't even know what to think anymore. Anyway, let's hear from Judge Lauren, cause it looks like she has a lot to say.
Pictures of...
Wait a minute! Hold on! Caitlin's 2 years old, you think you have a daughter and the perfect girl, you got a good life.
Yeah, I actually have evidence.
Oh, let me see that. So you think you having a good life, and then they get into an argument when Caitlin's 2, a family member of Miss Haim.
Could Jordan be onto something with this evidence? We'll see.
So this is another one posted up, and this is from Santavius Knight, and it reads, me and my baby Kate.
And my thing is, when did anybody get the time to even take my daughter?
What in the world is Haim's trying to prove? Why is she putting this poor man through all this when she knows the truth? Anyway, just like you and I, the judge also wants to get to the bottom of this. So she asks Haim more questions. Let's see how that goes.
I didn't tell him that. I told him I was pregnant.
Miss Haim, I'm gonna need you to tell me what the deal is. I need to know what's going on. She's old enough to know. Who does she think her father is, Mr. Jordan or Santavius?
Chris.
Do you think Haim is starting to make some sense? I don't. After that testimony, Jordan once again objected to what Haim said. The most exciting part is that even the judge agreed with him. Here, take a look.
We are here discussing the paternity of Caitlin.
Yes, ma'am.
And it has been brought to this court's attention that there are pictures of you with Caitlin where you put in a caption that this is me and my baby Kate, where you are referring to this little girl as your daughter.
Yes.
Wow, I still don't get Haim's angle, because how will you tell someone also about your pregnancy in such a manner if you were not trying to say to them that it's theirs? Even the judge has to ask her what her deal was, leading two men to think they were her daughter's dads.
No, he's lying. When I came back in town in April, I had sex, and then I found out I was pregnant in June, so how is that possible? I just called him and let him know that I was pregnant.
What did you say she said to you again?
She told me that it was my baby. She said, I'm pregnant. I said, what you telling me for?
Granted that she is tired of hearing her family say those things, but the main question here is, why did she even tell Santavius about her pregnancy, and even spew other statements like this one the judge asked about here?
Oh no, I called him when I found I was pregnant and told him that I was pregnant.
Did you
So
tell him
after
you were
that-
going to make the birth certificate right?
I don't remember that, Your Honor.
But the conversation about the birth certificate would happen after Caitlin was born. So you're still having conversations with him after Caitlin's born.
Through my family members.
Things aren't looking good for Haim. Jordan is pissed that Haim is, in his words, manipulating them both, and all she could do was smirk. This behavior got to Judge Lauren, and she had to ask her what that was about. Here, take a look.
What's this smirk, Miss Haim? What is this smirk? You done had the same smirk on your face. You burst out crying when the case first started. You just so tired of this, and you just want it to be over, and you just tired
I
of
do want it to
going
be
through
over.
this. What is the smirk? What's behind your eyes? What are you feeling?
Finally, some truth. Now that Haim has come clean, I guess it's time for the results to be revealed. Moment of truth. Here we come.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan, you are Caitlin's biological father. Mr. Knight, I know you really thought Caitlin was your biological child. How are you feeling in this moment?
At the end of the day, in life, you can't,
Hendricks and Pacheco lived together happily until the latter began having paternity doubts about Hendricks' 6-month-old son, Isaiah. If they used to be in a peaceful and happy relationship, where did things go wrong? The pair start as two people in love, blossoming into a happy relationship. Hendricks added that they had so much love for each other that they were inseparable. By the time she got pregnant, the pair were also happy to receive the news. But the happiness didn't last long. Now we know how things started to go awry for the pair. It did not help that there were rumors about Hendricks' infidelity flying around. According to Hendricks, things had gotten terrible between her and Pacheco, and he abandoned her when she's difficult even to know who is lying and who isn't at this point. However, we all know that the truth will eventually reveal itself as a confession or a DNA test result. Moving on, Pacheco has much to say about his feelings on the whole thing, so let's hear from him.
But for me,
But that's not all. What Pacheco would reveal to the court after Hendricks' accusation would shock the entire... It turned out that after initially refusing to sign the birth certificate, Pacheco went back to the hospital with a change of heart. However, he and Hendricks had a disagreement that led to him being thrown out of the hospital. The judge decided it was high time Pacheco's witness spoke. Let's see how that goes.
State your name for the court, sir.
Matthew Hendricks,
Mr. Hendricks, okay? You are Ms. Hendricks'
his brother,
brother, and yet you're Mr. Pacheco's witness.
and also Mrs. Ferrone's fiance.
So this truly is a family divided.
Yes. Yes.
Well, look at Matthew's fiancé running to defend Hendricks. It seems like Hendricks may have been unfaithful to Pacheco, and the child the latter believes to be his may not be. The realization of this hurts Pacheco. However, the judge points out of these two shared, they find themselves in such a situation. It gets messier when Hendricks' witness, Ferrone, backs her friend up to lash out at Pacheco. At this point, the judge just had to invite her to the podium at this point, and honestly, everyone needs to move forward. This brings us to the DNA result, which will help us determine whether Pacheco is truly little Isaiah's father. 30 years passed before Mama Davis confessed to her daughter, Wandick, that the man she believed to be her father was not her biological dad. This revelation has led Wandick to distance herself from Haggerty, the supposed father. However, Haggerty claims that everything Davis said was a lie. Why does he think so?
Lied to me, she lied to my daughter. When she first got pregnant, she said I was the dad. And after 29 years, I come to find out now that possibly I'm not the father.
You've raised this beautiful young woman and you've thought of her as your daughter and nothing else.
For the whole 29 years, yes, Your Honor.
How can someone be so insensitive? Davis has caused many issues for the pair, and this upsets Wandick. She questions Davis why she would lie to her for nearly 30 years if she truly loved her. This is incredibly hurtful because Wandick had formed a close bond with Haggerty.
Haggerty was a wonderful father to me. Like, I was in and out of the system, and he'll come pick me up from my foster care home, take me around to his side of the family, which is, they're awesome. He's just been an outstanding dad. He didn't treat me no different from my sister.
Right, this new witness, Carolyn, who is Davis's sister, appears to be on Haggerty's side. She claims that Davis never spoke of another possible baby daddy, and everyone in their family was assured that Haggerty was the father. So, when did the question of paternity start to rear its ugly head? Let's hear from Wandick.
When I really found out things was I was at a sibling's house, and this other man came up to me and he started crying, and I'm like, whoa. Why are you crying? Like, who are you? I don't know you. Why are you crying? Why are you looking at me just crying? And he was like, you don't know who I am? He was like, I'm your father.
All of this is shocking to Haggerty. Wandick says she began doubting Haggerty was her father and distanced herself from him after the other man entered her life, which Haggerty noticed. Believe it or not, Wandick hasn't seen Haggerty in 9 years.
Last time you've seen Mr. Haggerty, the man you've always grown up believing was your biological father?
The last time I seen him was about 9 years ago.
9 years?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss...
Unbelievable. The other guy was at the hospital on the day Wandick was born. So how did Davis manage to involve Haggerty in this situation?
If you were that certain and he signed the birth certificate, everything is here.
The birth certificate.
How does Mr. Haggerty get into the equation?
Question, because I'm gonna explain it to you, Your Honor, because I wanted a baby by Mr. Haggerty so bad. So bad I had 4 miscarriages.
This is wild. Just because she wanted to have a child with Haggerty, Davis went so far as to lie that he was the father of a child she had with another man. That's absurd. Meanwhile, Haggerty has always been proud to be Wandick's father, despite having no legal claim to her.
You were proud to be Miss Wandick's father. Yes. It's something you cherished, a relationship you valued.
Yes.
She said you were a wonderful father to her. Right. So the truth is, your commitment to this young woman was truly about love and about the belief that you were her father, even though you had no legal claim.
That's heartwarming. But then there's Davis, who tries to ruin this beautiful family with her selfishness and lies. And it gets worse. Davis only started claiming the other man was the father when she discovered he was wealthy.
What do you believe was your mother's motivation for creating this type of paternity saga?
Money. When this other man accumulated all this money, that's when she wanted to say, that's who really your dad is. You need to get some money from him.
Whoa, that was unexpected. Things are escalating, and the only resolution for everyone involved is the DNA test result, which is about to be revealed.
When it comes to 29-year-old Marzella Wandick, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Haggerty, you are not the father. Are you okay, honey?
That could have been settled 29 years ago.
Wow, this is tough. However, it's nice that Warwick is embraced by so much love from those who aren't even her biological family. As the judge noted, that's a significant blessing.
Miss Wandick, I know I could not give you the level of closure you truly needed. You got one part of the truth, but you stepped in, and I think you're surrounded by your limitless blessings, right?
This case is different from typical paternity issues. Myler demands a test to prove that her ex, Scotty Rasmussen, is not her 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee's father. They've been in a custody battle, and Rasmussen claims Myler's actions are driven by hatred, not truth. The judge questions Rasmussen to uncover the truth.
You say she hates you. Why does she hate you?
She hates me because at the end of the relationship, when things got rocky, I'll admit it, I did go to another woman. I'll be the first to admit that. You know, it was my mistake.
Is that true, Miss Miller?
No.
It's not?
No.
Oh, wow. However, Rasmussen debunks Myler's accusation and claims that he only tries to see Zaylee because he wants to be there for her as much as he can. And it looks like the judge reasons with him.
Because I believe that the only reason why he wants the visitation is to claim her on his taxes.
That is the furthest thing from the truth. I want my visitation because my daughter means the world to me. I want to be in her life as much as I possibly can.
After listening to their testimonies, it is clear there is more that Myler isn't saying. Judge Lauren also agrees with me, as she asks Myler to tell the court what the problem truly is instead of lying. Let's see how that goes, shall we?
Why is it you don't want him involved in this child's life?
Because I still believe that he is not hers.
Okay, and listen, that's what we're here for. I want to get down to the bottom of the truth.
Yeah.
You don't believe he's her biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. However, Judge Lauren wasn't done questioning her yet. She must know more about the whole conception story. Let's take a look at how she tries to clarify this and gets the story straight.
An on and off relationship that has infidelity woven through. I understand that. Ms. Miller, you were stating to the court that you were intimate with someone else and you believe that you were intimate with that other person during the time Zaylee was conceived and Mr. Rasmussen was all the way in Las Vegas.
Yes, Your Honor.
But that's not all. Rasmussen had much to tell the court about how Miller dropped the bomb on him. Here, let's continue watching to find out more.
Miss Miller brings it up that I could possibly not be the father because of another man that was involved, and she gave some date. I can't remember the specifics. One of the people we were talking to with the family court commissioner did the math, and it turns out that would be a 10-month pregnancy, and that don't make sense to me.
It is clear that Rasmussen is highly bothered by all this and unable to understand Myler's actions toward him. He says that despite their unstable relationship, Myler still gave Zaylee his name. In fact, Rasmussen presents a copy of the certificate to the court, which the judge examines.
You're on the birth certificate.
Yep, I was at...
You're at the birth?
I was at the birth. I was at every single doctor's appointment. When Zaylee was born, you were at a doctor's appointment. I was at home because I had to work that day. I was at my job as a cashier. I got a phone call and I answered it. They said she was going into labor. I said, okay.
Oh my, what a story. Myler immediately claims that Rasmussen's story is a perfectly cooked up lie. The court then gave her the floor to tell her own version of what happened when Zaylee was born. Let's see what she has to say.
After she was born, he was gone. He ran out of the room. I didn't see him for 20 minutes after that. While I was in labor, he was sitting on one of those hospital cot beds on his computer in the corner, not paying attention to me in his own little...
Okay, we can all agree that the story is becoming clearer. Anyway, Myler explains that everything was perfect and excellent. With their marriage coming up and their baby being born, she couldn't have felt any happier. Her happiness turned sour when one of Rasmussen's friends informed her about his infidelity.
And I thought we were going to get married. I thought we were going to have a happy life and raise our daughter together until about 3 months after she was born, one of his friends told me everything that he was doing throughout our entire relationship, cheating on me, going to multiple places to meet multiple girls.
So far, this episode has been a lot. From stories of infidelity to Myler being Rasmussen's side piece, I don't think I can take any more. Along the line, Judge Lauren asks Myler one fundamental question. If she was feeling this way, why did she wait so long to tell Rasmussen about the paternity issue? Here is what she had to say in response to that.
Even through the breakup, you all are making custody and visitation arrangements, but you know deep down there's another possible father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why wait so long to tell him?
I told him the first time that we had a court date, but the courts threw it out.
Rasmussen asserts that little Zaylee looks exactly like he did as a 3-year-old, which causes him to stand firm in his belief that she is his. However, Miller claims she does not see any resemblance between them, adding that Zaylee looks exactly like the other man.
And you, as a child, Mr. Rasmussen, on the right.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you say you see a distinct similarity.
Yes, I do.
Do you see it, Ms. Miller?
Mm-mm.
You don't?
I don't.
You feel like Zaylee looks like the other gentleman you were intimate with.
Look, we even have the same chin. I'm just noticing that now. Our chin looks exactly the same. We have the same dimples.
Rasmussen is fed up with Millers's antics. Look at how he expresses his frustration over the visitation schedule.
At first, it was that fly-by-night, just make a date whenever you want to and, go from there. But obviously that didn't work. And then sometime after that, we started out where I had to sit with Miss Miller and my daughter at a park for 4 hours once a week for 4 weeks.
Rasmussen has a beautiful connection with his daughter. I can already imagine how much this would break him if the results come out, and he is not Zaylee's biological father. In fact, there is no need to imagine anything. This man has rightfully explained to the court how he would feel if the result confirmed whether he is Zaylee's father.
In a sense, yes. If it goes the way I'm hoping, and I know in my heart that it will, that she is mine, I'm just going to be overjoyed that all the drama and the fighting and all that kind of stuff is behind me. If it goes the other way, I don't think if I had all the time in the world, I could, prepare myself for such a bombshell.
Poor Rasmussen. Anyway, it is time to know what the DNA test result on Rasmussen says. Shall we?
Case of Miller versus Rasmussen. When it comes to 3-year-old Zaylee Rasmussen, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
Sorry.
Okay, who is this woman? How is she excited that her child just lost the only father figure she has ever had in her life? This is quite unbelievable and disappointing. Even Judge Lauren couldn't resist expressing her disgust at Myler's behavior.
That's a lot of nerve, considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve. You just showed me where your priorities were right there.
I'm sorry.
Because I held out hope that you weren't just acting a fool because you so mad at him because he cheated on you that you would cheat your child out of a father. But that cheering you did?
His paternity of her child. She is convinced that he is the father and desires his active involvement in their child's life. Conversely, Mr. Kisner asserts that he cannot be the father. This situation unfolds as follows.
Given everything up to be with Miss Ham, but now you claim her promiscuous and foggy past have caused you to doubt that you fathered her son.
Yes, Your Honor. Trying my best, Your Honor. I do not have a steady job, that's right. But I am trying my best to be there for Zayden.
And you seem emotional right now. What are you feeling?
Well, Your Honor, I betrayed my family.
What does Mr. Kisner mean by suggesting he has betrayed his family? This is a paternity court, not a crime drama. So it is crucial that Mr. Kisner's comments are relevant to the proceedings. Let us explore the implications of his statement regarding family betrayal.
I came back home and my family was telling me, don't go back there. No, you're here now. We got you back home. Don't do that. And I just decided to go back there.
Why is that a betrayal?
I just feel that's what my family thought.
They don't want you to go back because they don't believe that Zayden is your biological child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Typically, beneath the surface of many paternity disputes lies a significant secret. In this case, Miss Ashley Ham's involvement with Mr. Kisner's friend likely contributes to his mistrust and belief that she is not truthful about the paternity of her child. The situation appears to deteriorate further.
And his friend had broken up with my friend. He just wasn't there for me at the time. I felt like we were both partying and he wasn't talking as
So
much.
you weren't really getting along with Mr. Kisner that way?
No.
You felt like he wasn't stepping up to the plate as a boyfriend or doing what you need?
So
why
I broke
is
up
it you
with
chose
him.
to date?
I broke up with him and then...
Why his friend, though?
It is astonishing that many women who appear in this court often choose to engage with someone close to their partner. Setting aside the ethical considerations, such actions are undeniably reckless. What actions has Mr. Kisner taken in response?
Could show me change, and she did. She really stepped up as a mother and left all that life behind. So
She did?
She did.
So, Miss Ham, were you with anyone else?
No. Not besides his friend, and then that's it. I got taken in.
Mr. Kisner does not appear to be here voluntarily. His tone suggests he feels compelled to participate in this process. While he may not be an active father, he does not seem to question the paternity of his children. Returning to Miss Ashley Ham, one must wonder if she can even recall the number of individuals she was involved with during that time in her life.
Do you truly remember everything you've done?
Yes, I do.
You do?
I know what I did, and I told him exactly what happened the next day.
They are both in my home right now, and I believe that Mr. Kisner is insecure.
To be candid, it appears that she is correct. It is evident that this relationship is strained. However, Mr. Kisner and Miss Ashley Ham seem to be young individuals eager to make things right, and the results of the DNA test represent their first opportunity to do so. Therefore, how has Miss Ashley Ham been faring?
She's been an amazing mom, a complete completely different person. You know, we made that choice as a family to move out of state to get her away from friends, and that way that life could never come up again. She can start new. But they both have an opportunity here.
This is precisely the purpose of paternity court, is it not? It aims to provide parents with the opportunity to begin anew based on truth and certainty. By obtaining the DNA test results, Mr. Kisner will gain a clear understanding of his situation and whether he is committed for the long term. What is Miss Willen's perspective on this matter?
Don't. He's a great guy. He's great with Zayden. He's a great father. They just need that direction. They need that push. They need that oomph.
Mr. Kisner, is your doubt because your family doesn't think he's yours, or do you personally truly believe that this child is not yours?
Your Honor, I have so much doubt.
I don't believe that, because when I was around him in the...
One gets the impression that Miss Willen is indeed correct. Mr. Kisner does not appear particularly convincing when he expresses doubts about the child's paternity. It seems as though he is articulating concerns on behalf of his family, which adds to the uncertainty surrounding his doubts.
I doubt
that this child is his, and you have not given me one
without
reason.
a condom. So that's why I know. I know what I did and I know what I didn't do. We were having sex every day without a condom.
Your Honor, I agree. Thing is that she would take off on me and leave me without knowledge of where she would go, what would actually be going on. The stories would not match up.
So you feel like she would go places and not tell you where she is, and you thought she was cheating. So she's flirting. Well, you can't get pregnant like that.
No.
What else?
There's doubt right there.
However, his skepticism does not seem well-founded, as Ashley Hamm maintains that she has never been unfaithful, a claim echoed by Miss Willen. The only way to ascertain the truth is to examine the DNA test results, and it is important to note that these results may reveal an unexpected outcome.
Mr. Kisner, you are not the father. Was there any other man besides Mr. Kisner you were having unprotected sex with?
All I know is that time at the party. I remember at the end, and I freaked out and stopped, and then that's when he was trying to pick me up and my phone died.
Miss McKeever is firmly convinced that Mr. Arnold is the father of her child. Conversely, Mr. Arnold contends that Miss McKeever confessed to having relations with 2 other men, one of whom could potentially be the father. This situation sets the stage for the ensuing drama.
So, Ms. McKeever, he says he's on support. What does he actually do for your son?
Well, actually, he has not done anything for my son. My sister has been playing a big role in my son's life, far as buying him diapers, if I need money to get my kids clothes.
But he's on child support. Are you doing anything for this child?
No, it's not my child, so why would I pay anything?
You feel confident it's not your child.
Right.
So you've chosen not to pay anything at all.
Yeah, sure.
Even though
Mr. Arnold is known for his reckless behavior. He cannot simply opt out of paying child support if he is legally obligated to do so. Failure to comply will result in law enforcement pursuing him, potentially leading to the revocation of his driver's license or even incarceration. The reality is that fulfilling this obligation is not a matter of choice.
It's not my child, so why should I pay anything? I got put on child support because of not showing up to a DNA test.
Oh, you were named. Why didn't you show up to the DNA test,
I don't
young
have
man?
any transportation to get to this place.
But look where it ended up.
Yet Mr. Arnold appears indifferent to the consequences. He justifies his actions by claiming a lack of transportation prevented him from attending a DNA test, which could result in him being liable for child support for up to 18 years, even if he is not the biological father. This reasoning is quite perplexing. What insights does his aunt provide regarding this situation?
There was another young man involved who was supposed to be these kids' dad.
Who is this
now,
young man?
After 2 years, now all of a sudden, my nephew is being blamed for these kids.
These
is not
man?
his children, because if they was, why would you name another man saying that they was the dad? But all of a sudden, you took it.
I'm asking a question. Who is this young man? Do you know?
I don't know him personally.
Who is
No,
this
I
other
don't.
young man, Ms. McKeever?
The other young man that I was with.
You told the other guy that this is his child.
Yes.
And you told Mr. Arnold.
If Miss McKeever has indeed acted inappropriately, one must question why she is present in paternity court today, seeking to establish Mr. Arnold as the father. Why is the other man absent from this proceeding? The situation lacks clarity, and it remains to be seen if Miss McKeever can provide further explanation.
Not 2 years later, look where we at. This don't make no sense.
So once she told you you were not the father, Mr. Arnold, what happened?
The fake DNA test showed up then. Him out for 2 years, blocked him off of Facebook, no contact. 2 years later, this girl pop up and tell him she need to talk to him. When she gets him and talk to him, she telling him that she did the DNA for the other guy, and he not the daddy. Christopher wanted a copy of the DNA test.
After 2 years, you finally did the DNA with the other guy? Explain.
Okay, so as my son got older, when he started turning 1 into 2,
It becomes evident why Mr. Arnold is involved in this case. If he and the other man are the only two potential fathers, then Mr. Arnold must be the biological parent if Miss McKeever's claims are accurate. The likelihood of him not being the father is virtually non-existent. Does she possess any evidence from the DNA test to support her assertions?
0%. So what I did was...
Do you have any evidence of that test?
No, I don't have the evidence with me.
And she wouldn't let us get a copy, and she wouldn't let us take a picture of it so we could have some evidence.
These are Mr. Arnold's exact words. He said, I had a feeling that that's my child because every time I come around him, I have a connection. He always kept telling me that.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't know it was another guy involved until after she came back and showed me the papers.
He's lying on that part. The time that we was in a relationship, he knew about the other guy. So it's not like I just got with Mr. Arnold.
This situation is indeed perplexing. Mr. Arnold appears to be aware of the circumstances, yet still wishes to convince us that he is not the father. If he believed the child was not his, why would he repeatedly express a sense of connection with the child? This contradiction raises questions. Miss McKeever has additional comments to make regarding this matter.
Family cannot sit here and tell him that this is not his child because y'all was not in the bedroom with us when we did what we did, and y'all was not living with me. Y'all wasn't calling him, asking him.
It is evident that there is significant animosity between the two parties. However, Mr. Arnold has one final argument that he believes will hold weight in court. Let us discover what that argument entails.
I don't understand why I'm being put through this.
So, so you say he doesn't look like you.
He don't.
So when he was 1 and she said he's starting to look like you, and you said, yeah, I thought that was my son because we have a connection, did that happen?
Yeah, sure. But
you did say that.
Right, but
exactly.
He don't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not understanding.
Let Mr. Arnold finish the statement.
Okay.
He's 3 now. He don't even look like me now.
It is somewhat difficult to accept Mr. Arnold's current assertion that the child does not resemble him. Is he making this claim to evade his child support obligations, or does he genuinely believe that there is no resemblance? Miss McKeever has proposed her own theory, which is quite extraordinary.
First of all, you are 27 years old. You are a grown man. Why every time you have a problem or we have anything going down, you gotta run to your family members?
That's what we
Why don't you step up and be a man and worry about your kids? Because at the end of the day, me and you are going to be taking care of those kids, not your family, not nobody else. That's how I look at it. So therefore, I'm not just bringing him to try to plant a baby on him. Because like I said, when I met Mr. Arnold, he didn't have nowhere to stay.
He raises a valid argument. Mr. Arnold does not appear to have a particularly promising situation in his life, making it improbable that Miss McKeever would wish to attribute her child to him. Ultimately, the only definitive method to ascertain the truth is through the results of a DNA test.
Mr. Arnold, you are his father.
That's what we wanted. That's what we here for. We in the truth.
Your Honor, I will step up to the plate. I want to be around all my kids.
Thank you for watching this video till now. To watch similar videos, you can watch more of our videos which are being shown here. What is your opinion about these paternity cases? Please tell us by commenting.
What the? A break for us is I'm leaving out the house, I'm going to go to my parents' house for a while, or you leave and you go with your mom or something.
No, that's
like
not a
that.
break.
That was a break between us, and we were always back together within a month of time. There's no excuse. A break is not an excuse to go sleep with someone and have a child by someone else at all.
How in the world do you think you making babies in this world and don't have a job? Who's supposed to take care of them? Me? How do you think you cannot have a job?
What?
How do you, what?
I couldn't hear you.
It's called excuse me, ma'am. See, we're gonna get it right in here today. I don't know who's teaching you, but I'm gonna give you a lesson.
I'm teaching them.
When I say something, answer's not what.
Okay.
You didn't teach them correct. Ms. Nichols, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Young, to court today because you say he denies he's the father of your 13-month-old daughter, Sine. You say it's time for him to step up and take responsibility. You say you refuse to accept Sine because you claim that Ms. Nichols was already pregnant when you began your relationship.
Ms. Nichols asserts that Mr. Young denies being the father of her 13-month-old daughter. Mr. Young claims that she was already pregnant when they first met, leading to an uncomfortable exchange of accusations that only complicates the situation further.
Actually started denying her when I moved out of his house because he was cheating. I've known Mr. Young for 19 years. We met when we were 15 years old, and when I met him again on Facebook, you know, we automatically moved in together.
We didn't automatically move in. She hit me up on Facebook, talking about because she'd been trying to find me. Came over, she was still on the same thing she was when I first met her.
According to Miss Nichols, she ended her relationship with Mr. Young due to infidelity, while Mr. Young contends that she nearly moved in with him following a conversation on Facebook. Their narratives are vastly different, and the unfolding drama is just beginning.
He's a friend of mine.
Do you have sex with him?
No, I do not.
You don't have
How
sex?
old is he?
73.
Whoa. He calls him your sugar daddy. What does he do for you?
Any and everything I ask him to. Since he wants to go there, he had no problem with this man when we were hungry, and I would call him and he would bring us something to eat. You know, anything I called and asked this man for.
Miss Nichols acknowledges that she had a benefactor who assisted her financially, although she denies any deeper involvement. This benefactor provided transportation, meals, and cash, adding another layer of complexity to the situation.
Do you remember the night you believe you conceived?
I say around the middle of November, around the 15th, give or take.
This conception date, your due date would be approximately August 12th, 2015. And when was Sine born?
May 28th. She was 11 weeks early, Your Honor.
This leads you to believe this is not your biological child.
Then this just didn't really just add up to me. It was dark.
The court is attempting to clarify the timeline of the pregnancy, but Mr. Young argues that the dates do not align. Miss Nichols claims the baby was born prematurely, a statement Mr. Young disputes, escalating tensions just as the lie detector results are about to be revealed.
Next. When we asked you if once you began a sexual relationship, did you have sexual intercourse with anyone else, you said yes.
Wow.
And the lie detector determined you were being truthful.
The results indicate that Miss Nichols was honest about not being intimate with anyone else, but she was untruthful regarding her benefactor. Mr. Young seizes this information as evidence, coinciding with the escalating drama surrounding the birth certificate.
So you say you didn't sign this birth certificate?
I don't recall signing nothing, ma'am.
Did he go to the hospital?
Yes, he was there. That's him while she was still in the hospital.
That's a beautiful picture. You don't look like you have doubt in that picture.
Your Honor, her attitude and the way she treats me, bogus. That's why I want to make sure that I'm taking care of a child that's mine.
Mr. Young, you are her father.
And surprise.
This tumultuous case begins with Mr. Benning, who suspects he may not be the father due to his partner's infidelity, while Ms. Bowden firmly believes he is. Tensions are set to rise as Mr. Benning prepares for what lies ahead.
Mr. Benning, you recently appeared in couples court and it was confirmed that the defendant cheated on you. This infidelity has caused questions regarding your 2-year-old daughter, Robin, and 6-month-old son, Jermaine Jr.'s paternity. Although you are hopeful that both are your children.
Mr. Benning reflects on his strong connection with his daughter, Robin, whom he envisioned having after the loss of his mother. Robin represented his dreams, but the impending revelations create a sense of foreboding.
First off, Your Honor, my mother passed away when I was 14 years old. She was my best friend. We spent every waking moment together. After she died, it, left me hurt. I always wanted a daughter, and I promised I was going to take care of her and treat her like my mother took care of me.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
I've always stuck by with that.
So having a daughter has been so important to you.
So important. I waited.
While Ms. Bodine was in labor, Mr. Benning received a text suggesting that another man was the father. Despite the shock, he chose to sign the birth certificate and maintained his composure, demonstrating remarkable loyalty at that moment. However, the situation is on the verge of unraveling.
It actually happened during labor, Your Honor. I was in the hospital sitting across from Kayla as she was pushing this baby out. And I received a text from a guy telling me to leave the hospital because that's his baby and he needs to be there.
What?
I am in labor, like literally in the hospital. And I received a text telling me that the child that I'm waiting to come isn't mine.
Miss Bowden has already undergone testing with another potential father, which returned a negative result. Mr. Benning remains unsettled, contemplating whether there might be additional possibilities.
How do you know this other guy is not the biological father?
Because, Your Honor, I stood up, did the woman and the mother thing I had to do, and got the other guy tested.
Oh.
And he wasn't the father.
And you submitted those results to the court?
Yes, I did.
That the probability of paternity between you and this other guy is 0%.
As the tension escalates, Mr. Benning expresses the challenges of raising Robin while grappling with doubts about his paternity. He articulates the emotional turmoil of others, asserting they are her father. Just as the situation becomes overwhelming, the DNA results arrive.
Man, what does that feel like when she says that to you, Mr. Benning?
That little girl right there is my mother come back to be with me.
And
When
she
you
looks
tell me that,
like your
when you
mother.
tell me
She's
she's
her-
not mine, it feels like you're taking my mother away from me again.
Look at them. Look, they're twins.
She's beautiful.
They are.
They do look a lot alike.
The results are available.
Determined by this court. Mr. Benning, you are not the father. What the?
Ms. McCrary asserts that Mr. Goodson has not contributed to their 18-month-old daughter Arian's upbringing, while he refutes being her father and questions his presence in the situation. The drama is on the verge of intensifying, and things are about to become quite heated.
Ms. McCrary, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your miracle baby, 18-month-old Arian McCrary.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim Mr. Goodson has done nothing for your daughter, but today, that's going to change.
Ms. McCrary expresses her frustration over Mr. Goodson's lack of involvement in their daughter's life, becoming emotional as she reflects on the significance of Arian as her first child. This narrative is complex and is poised to delve even deeper.
He has been to a certain extent. One hand, how many times?
One hand in 17 months, you can count?
Yes, Your Honor, and counting.
And when you see her?
That's my miracle baby. You know, conceive. You know, when you're in a relationship with a man for so many years, you know, you having unprotected sex, you're trying to get pregnant, things of that nature, it doesn't happen. You think you can't get pregnant.
Ms. McCrary alleges that Mr. Goodson neglected both her and their baby, claiming to have seen him with another family. He counters her accusations, insisting he has not seen the child. The exchange is charged, with neither party willing to concede.
You walk past Arian in the store and not even acknowledge her at all?
That's not true. We actually seen each other at the same time. She was coming and I was going toward the checkout. She was going, I guess she was going to get an item or something. And we never said, I didn't even know that Aaron was with her. Yes,
But you are not acknowledging that you are the father of this beautiful baby.
Mr. Goodson describes their relationship as initially casual, but feelings developed, accuses Ms. McCrary of being secretive regarding her phone, indicating that this affair is becoming increasingly complicated with the drama just beginning to unfold.
Every time we got together, it was like her phone used to ring a lot and she come over there. You know, we stayed on two different sides of town. She'll come over there probably a day or two, and I might not hear from her, a couple more days after that, or whenever she's around, her phone is just constantly going off, and she was always secretive about it. So
what was the nature of this?
It was friends hanging out, and
Ms. McCrary reveals that Mr. Goodson was still married during their relationship, prompting Judge Lake to remind everyone that being separated does not equate to being divorced. The situation is already chaotic and is set to become even more tumultuous.
You wanted to make things a little more serious. How serious could it get when you already had another person?
Well, we was married but separated, and she was just like, nah, that's not what I want right now. And this, so
But do you blame her maybe being a little nervous because even though you were separated, you were still married? And I always say a man is married until he is divorced.
Okay.
It's just that's the way it is.
Ms. McCrary vividly recounts the night she believes she conceived, including a stop at American Deli, detailing their unprotected encounter and her certainty about the timing. Just when it seems the story has reached its limit, more intricate details emerge.
He picked me up that night from work, July the 10th. If I'm not mistaken, we got American Deli, okay? He likes to eat. I like to eat. Not a problem. Extra chicken, extra cheese, sub sandwich. When you're grown, you're nasty, you get in tune. I like the things he do to me, vice versa. We enjoy each other. Why not? We're grown. We hadn't had protected sex, so come on. At the end of the day.
Ms. McCrary claims that Mr. Goodson initially promised to provide support, but later later withdrew, questioning why she even reached out to him, asserting they had not been intimate for months. The tension continues to escalate, and the arguments are on the brink of erupting.
What happens when you find out you're pregnant?
Well, of course, I told family members. They were up for my decision, and I had to just sit, think about it. So when I told him, he was just up for it. I rub your stomach, take you to doctor's appointment. I just felt like, oh, okay, well, maybe he heard from me. Got me thinking that, oh, it's gonna be all okay. It was not all okay. I didn't want to be by myself.
Mr. Goodson has expressed his concerns regarding Miss McCrary's admission of being involved with another individual during her pregnancy, particularly due to a prior instance of a false paternity claim. The situation continues to intensify without a clear resolution in sight.
Thought about it because as a woman, you saying a real woman shouldn't have sex with other men, but at the end of the day, when you go back to your dates, a real woman know who she having sex with. When I told him my date and I went back and told him when it happened, why, what we was doing, it could be a possibility. Oh yeah.
While Mr. Goodson acknowledges that he went to the hospital following the birth, he refrained from signing the birth certificate due to his uncertainties. Miss McCrary contends that he should have taken responsibility regardless of his doubts, especially now that DNA results are imminent and the truth is on the verge of coming to light.
Did you sign the birth certificate for Arian?
No, I did not. I just didn't want to tie myself to that responsibility until I knew that she was mine.
It takes two, Your Honor. You come with chump change. Don't do that. You help me. If I have something I don't have, I'm going to tell you what I have. You can't even foot a half bill. And then, come on now, you saying that I bailed out on you. Make it make sense, baby.
Judge Lake is set to disclose the DNA results.
Has been determined by this court. Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Oh, okay.
Miss Tucker, you believed another man was your dad until a bomb was dropped on you 10 years ago when your mother admitted that the defendant is your biological father.
They say the truth always comes out, but sometimes it shows up 3 decades late, carrying more damage than answers. This case was about broken trust, buried secrets, and a young woman caught in the middle of 2 people who'd been denying, hiding, and running from the truth her entire life. Adriana Tucker walked into that courtroom hoping to close a chapter, but what happened exposed more wounds than she ever expected.
A few years, I have been trying to get Charles to do a DNA test with me. Twice, I scheduled a test, he didn't show up, and it's just a lot of confusion in my own mind, and it's very traumatic to me. I'm trying to figure out if he's my father or not to close this chapter in my life.
Adriana grew up believing she knew who her father was, a man who never showed up but whose family welcomed her like one of their own. Every weekend, they'd pick her up, pour love on her, and tell her she belonged. But a phone call shattered everything when she was just in the 5th grade. On the other end of the line, the man she thought was her father coldly told her she wasn't his. No explanations, no kindness.
I grew up thinking someone else was my father. So to find out that someone else could be my father, it really had an effect on me.
Charles, however, wasn't interested in that possibility. He stood firm in his doubt, his words sharp, his stance unmoved. He claimed he'd been told 30 years ago that he wasn't Adriana's father, and he believed it. When Adriana's mother told him she was pregnant, she insisted the baby wasn't his. He said he walked away then, cutting ties, building a new life, refusing to look back.
I wanted to find out who her father really is also.
You don't believe you are?
Well, I had doubts because the mother told me that I wasn't 30 years ago, so...
And so, Mom, Miss Tucker?
Yes, Your Honor.
You hear your daughter speak?
Yes, Your Honor.
Express her pain?
Yes, Your Honor.
You say you and Mr. Hunter have always known that he was her biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Her mother, Adrian Tucker, confessed she'd lied, but said she only did it to protect her. She'd told her daughter another man was the father because, in her words, Charles Hunter, the man now standing across from them in court, wasn't fit to be a role model. But was it really about protection? Or was it about avoiding the truth and consequences of a tangled relationship that neither parent wanted to face?
I was dating this guy, but it was basically over. And at the end of the day, he wasn't good for her, and neither was Mr. Hunter. So I just went on and just raised her by myself, well, my family.
For years, she believed one story. Her father was absent, indifferent, a ghost in her life. Then, at 18, she finally spoke with him, and with a few careless words, he ripped her world apart. Now, decades later, they're facing off in court, and the truth is, moments away from exploding into the open. The daughter, now a woman, fought to keep her composure as she recounted that first devastating conversation.
My very first time talking to him, you know, hearing that, it was confusing. Yeah.
I understand. And so I see you fighting back tears, honey. I know you've had to hold so much of this in. What do you do after that?
His sister didn't come get me again after that, but I did go home and I talked to my mom about it.
For Adriana, the damage was already done. She stood in front of them, no longer a little girl, but a grown woman, scarred by years of confusion, rejection, and unanswered questions. She didn't deny her mother's faults. She knew her mother had lied, but she also believed Charles shared the blame. She argued he knew he'd been with her mother, knew there was a possibility, and never tried to find the truth.
Mom was wrong. I still feel as though Mr. Hunter also knew a big chance that he was my father. My mom is wrong, but he's wrong because I was born innocent into this. And even if she told him he wasn't the father, he knew he laid down with her.
The courtroom tension grew thicker when Adriana explained how she first heard Hunter's name, not from her mother, not from her family, but from a stranger at the corner store. This woman, without hesitation, told her she looked just like her real father. That father wasn't the man Adriana had grown up believing in. It was Charles Hunter, a name that meant nothing to her until that moment.
I was in the 7th grade, and where we're from is very small. So I was at a store, and there's a woman who knows them both, and she told me, she said, "You look just like your dad." And so naturally, I'm thinking she's talking about the other gentleman. So I go, "Oh, you know my dad?" And I said his name, and she goes, "That's not your dad."
But here's where the story twisted even harder. Mr. Hunter swore he left town because Adriana's mother told him the baby wasn't his. He said he had no reason to doubt her back then. So he disappeared. 15, 16 years gone without looking back. And when he returned, he only heard rumors that maybe the daughter he'd walked away from was his. By then, too much time had passed.
So when she got pregnant, you were told?
Yeah, and she told me the child wasn't mine.
And what was your relationship like with Miss Tucker? You were dating exclusively? You were boyfriend and girlfriend, or just...
Yeah, for a short while.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a legal battle unfolding in that courtroom. It was 3 decades of missed chances, miscommunication, and avoidance crashing together. Adriana's mother admitted to lying. Hunter claimed he believed the lie and built his life around it. And Adriana? She was the collateral damage, a child left in the wreckage of 2 adults' choices. As the judge prepared to reveal the result, the room fell silent.
Mr. Hunter, you are not the father. I'm sorry, Adriana.
It's okay. I just wanted answers so that I don't have to keep interrupting his life or, keep going through this in my own life.
Ms. Robinson, you're here desperately trying to save your relationship. You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove to the defendant, Mr. Parker, that he is the father of your 23-month-old daughter, Tanila.
Yes, Your Honor.
Before he walked into the courtroom, his mind was already made up. This wasn't his child. He had no doubts, no second guessing. Miss Robinson could cry all she wanted, but nothing would change his conviction. He had a wedding on hold, a future to plan, and a name to protect. A paternity test would put everything to rest finally. But here's the thing about certainty. It only takes one undeniable truth to shatter it completely.
So, Mr. Parker, today's result pretty much determined everything.
Yes, Your Honor, it does.
Explain.
Tanila really means the world to me. She's my everything. She's the reason why I get up every morning to go work and go do something in my life.
Miss Robinson, on the other hand, was fighting for her life. She wasn't just here to prove a biological connection. She was trying to salvage the only relationship that ever made sense to her. She had stayed silent for too long, kept too many secrets, and now it had all caught up with her. Mr. Parker wanted the truth. Fine, he'd get the truth. But was he ready for it? That was the real question.
But I refuse to continue this relationship if they're just lies.
So has there been a lot of lies, Miss Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor, it have been a lot of lies. He didn't know around the time that I have pregnant that I was seeing someone else. That's where the possibility come from that Tanila might not be his.
Mr. Parker's suspicions weren't baseless. He had watched Miss Robinson slip away, piece by piece, long before she admitted to anything. Late-night disappearances, calls that went unanswered. And then there was the moment in the park. He had seen her with another man, holding hands, acting like a couple. When he confronted her, she brushed it off. But the damage was done. The trust was gone.
We had met October of 2012. It was a great time. We loved each other, watching Netflix. We was doing everything together. We chilled, do what we do best, But then, she started to be more distant herself, and, the calls started not coming in. She didn't start showing up.
Towards you.
Yes, you were.
I was spending multiple times with you.
Someone else.
Months later, out of nowhere, she showed up with a baby in her arms, calling him Daddy. For 5 months, he hadn't known. Not a single word. No phone call. No message. Nothing. Miss Robinson had carried a child, given birth, and raised her for almost half a year before deciding to tell him. And now, she expected him to accept it just like that, as if time hadn't passed?
Then all of a sudden, things started to come back around. She came to my house. I asked her, I was so shocked at her. I was like, hey, how you doing today? I seen a long time ago. And all of a sudden, it was a baby there. So I'm like, who's this baby of yours? And she was like, this your child. And I said, what? My child? What do you mean, my child?
But Miss Robinson had her reasons. Reasons she couldn't quite put into words without making herself look worse. The truth was, she had been scared, terrified, of rejection, of responsibility. What would happen if she told Mr. Parker that she wasn't sure, that another man had been in the picture, that maybe, just maybe, this child wasn't his? So she chose the easy way out. She told the other man first.
If you would have told me that you was pregnant and everything, I would have been down there for damn with you since day one. And I would.
Okay.
Why didn't you tell Mr. Parker? I don't understand.
I was nervous, Your Honor. I was going through my pregnancy hormones, and I was just distraught. I was going through a lot. I was nervous. I didn't know how to go about coming to him with the bad news.
What bad news?
That I was sleeping around with someone else.
That part, though, that part stung the most. The birth certificate. He hadn't just been kept in the dark, he had been erased. Another man had held his child first, signed his name, and taken his place. And now, that man was gone. And Miss Robinson had come crawling back, asking him to step in. Was he supposed to just forget everything? To pretend that betrayal didn't cut deep?
That Mr. Parker could also be the father?
No, Your Honor.
Did you tell the other guy that he was the father?
Yes, Your Honor.
You did? Oh, you told the other guy from the park holding hands, you're the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
And now, here they were, standing before a judge, waiting for a piece of paper to determine everything. Miss Robinson was pleading with her eyes, hoping he would understand and see his love for the child as proof enough. But Mr. Parker wasn't interested in feelings, and as much as he had grown attached, as much as he had come to love little Tanila, there was still a chance, a real chance, that she wasn't his.
In that moment, when it was time for the birth certificate to be signed, you knew that there was more than one potential father, right?
Yes, sure.
And it's crazy. That supposed to be my child. If that is my child, how did this man sit here and just sign the birth certificate? And that just really hurts me right now, Your Honor.
Miss Robinson's sister had her own thoughts. She had been blindsided too. She had asked, straight up, if there were other possible fathers, and Miss Robinson had sworn there weren't. Now, standing here, hearing the truth, she felt like a fool. But no matter what, she was standing by her sister. That baby was family, no matter what the results said. But for Mr. Parker, this was about more than just love.
So, I want to hear from your witness. Ma'am, would you please stand? Will you stand, ma'am? I'd like to hear from you.
Yes. So ready to stand.
Ms. Robinson, you are...
I'm her sister.
What do you know about this?
I talk to her a lot on the phone. I hear her crying a lot. I moved down here from Chicago to help her out. I keep the baby for weeks at a time. I provide financially for the baby. She wants to go to school. I must say, financially wise, he's good. He's excellent with them too.
The courtroom fell silent as Jerome handed the envelope to the judge. Mr. Parker barely breathed. Miss Robinson's hands trembled with anticipation. This was it, the moment that would decide everything. The judge opened the envelope. For a split second, time stood still. And then, finally, the words that changed everything.
Mr. Parker, you are not Tanila's father.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry.
Sis.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Chirpez, you claim you and your grandmother have been given no choice but to drag the defendant into court today because you say he moved away and abandoned your 9-month-old daughter, Araya. You believe the DNA results will prove that he is her biological father, and you demand he stops running from his responsibilities. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
9 months old. That's how long Aria has been on this earth. Long enough for her mother, Ms. Chirpis, to learn one hard truth. When a man doesn't want to take responsibility, he'll find a million reasons to run. She didn't expect to end up in court, begging for what should have been freely given. But here she was, dragging Mr. McQueen into the light, forcing him to face the truth. Today, the DNA test would settle everything.
So she's 8 months old, 9 months old, pretty much nothing?
Yep.
And I can see that that really hurts you. You're very angry about that?
Yes.
Tell the court.
It's hard because, I don't know, I didn't ever see it like this.
How did you see it?
Like he had promised.
And how was that?
Definitely not like this. I had moved out to go live with him.
McQueen, however, wasn't breaking a sweat. He wasn't here to claim a child. He was here to clear his name. In his mind, the math didn't add up. According to him, while he was breaking his back working 12-hour shifts, Miss Chirpis was busy entertaining other men. He was confident today's test would prove Aria wasn't his. Confidence is a dangerous thing when the truth is still unknown.
So you don't believe Araya is your biological child, and you're saying you still stepped up anyway, to the best of your ability?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is your position right now? You have doubts.
Yes.
Explain to the court.
I have doubts because I didn't have her full attention.
Ms. Chirpis had her own accusations. The truth, she argued, was that he had been unfaithful. She had left home for what he thought was a 4-day visit to her father's, but in reality, she had only been gone for a few hours. When she returned, she found exactly what she feared. A woman inside her home, McQueen, standing in front of the door as if to block her from entering.
And so you caught him cheating on you?
Yep.
And how did this lead to the paternity question? I mean, if you say you were faithful, he cheated on you, that still has nothing to do with Araya's paternity.
It's because he doesn't trust himself, so he thought it was all right, so he assumes I thought it was okay to be cheating on him.
He had smirked at her, as had the other woman, as if the whole thing was some kind of twisted joke. She had a 3-year-old daughter with her that night, and for her child's sake, she swallowed the rage burning inside her. Instead of a fight, she threw him out the next day, taking his name off the lease. Ms. Chirps wasn't just hurt, she was furious. She had moved in with him, trusted him, and they had planned for this baby.
I had my 3-year-old daughter with me too, so I didn't want confrontation in front of her, and I ended up kicking him out and took him off my lease the next day.
Do you believe, at the end of the day, he thinks you're cheating because he's the one cheating?
Yes.
McQueen fired back. He wasn't the villain here, at least, not in his version of events. He hadn't abandoned anyone. If anything, he had tried. But how could he stay when he wasn't even sure the baby was his? He had seen too much. Late-night phone calls, messages from other men, and spending the night in another man's house. What kind of committed girlfriend acts like that?
I actually found out that she went to another man's house and spent the night.
Is that true, Miss Chirpez?
Yes.
So you did? You went to another man's house and spent the night?
Yeah, because he had brought a woman to our house. So I kind of avoid the fighting I had left, yes.
The courtroom's energy shifted again. The accusations weren't one-sided anymore. And now, here they were, 2 people drowning in their own betrayals, with a baby caught in the middle. It was no longer just about paternity. It was about trust, or rather, the complete absence of it. 2 people who had once planned a future together were tearing each other apart before a judge.
I'm mad, Mr. McQueen, because the responsibility is falling on me and my husband, and it should be his responsibility for the baby, not ours.
How is the responsibility falling on you?
Because they're staying with us. I'm the one who cares for the baby when mommy can't. She's been doing really good.
McQueen wasn't moved. He needed proof. Concrete, irrefutable proof. No more, he said, she said. No more gut feelings. Just science. It wasn't just about Aria. It was about trust and knowing that he wasn't being made a fool of. He had been faithful in the beginning and had believed in their future. But everything fell apart. He wanted to know the truth before committing to a life he wasn't sure belonged to him.
She was talking to men or she was sleeping with men?
I don't know. I was working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week.
It's all in his head, all of it.
You say you planned this baby. You were excited for this baby. 2 weeks later, you were making babies with somebody else. What is going on?
That I didn't have her attention no more.
Ms. Chirpes shook her head. There were no other men, at least not in the way he wanted to believe. Yes, she had left that night after he brought another woman into their home, but she hadn't been unfaithful to him before that. She hadn't lied about Aria's paternity. He was twisting everything, making it seem like she was the unfaithful one when, in reality, he had been the one stepping out.
I have guy friends. I'm allowed to have friends.
So you have guy friends?
Yeah.
None of whom you've been intimate with?
Nope.
A week after I left my house, she moved her ex-boyfriend in, the one she was getting money with before. A week after that, I heard she was sleeping with another man, and then 3 weeks after that, she chose another one.
The courtroom fell silent as the judge reached for the envelope. It had all come down to this moment, to a simple piece of paper that held the answer. This was it, the moment of truth. If the results confirmed his doubts, he would walk away guilt-free. But if they didn't, if he had spent all this time running from his own blood, then there would be no excuses left.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. McQueen.
See?
Ms. Lyde, you say that for 26 years you have known only one man, the defendant, Mr. Ellis, to be your biological father. And you're devastated that he is claiming you're not his.
Yes, Your Honor.
For 26 years, she believed only one man could be her father. It was a simple truth, one she never questioned, until now. Standing in court, Danielle Lead watches as the man she has always known as Dad stood across from her, shaking his head. Lewis isn't just denying responsibility. He's here to prove with absolute certainty that he is not her father.
Growing up, it was just me and my mom. I've been in and out of group homes, foster homes. No male role model in my life. It's been hard. I had a long, hard life growing up.
When you hear her talk about her life without you,
Louis was unmoved by her pain. He was here for one reason, to refute any claim that he was Danielle's father. He painted a picture of a past filled with betrayal. He and Danielle's mother had been together for 7 years. Still, she had been unfaithful, disappearing for days, sometimes weeks, at a time. His words cut deep, but Danielle didn't flinch. She had heard them before.
I feel for her and all, but I'm not her father. I mean, her mother, she disappears weeks at a time, out there partying. I mean, look bright as she is. I mean, I ain't no doctor or nothing, but I'm pretty sure two people this color ain't gonna make no baby this bright-skinned. I mean, she was practically white.
I don't feel like that's correct because my son was white.
But there was more to the story. Louis had taken a DNA test years ago when child support was involved, and the results were clear. 99.9% certainty that he was not the father. He held onto the paperwork, showing it to anyone who would listen, even offering it as evidence in court. But for Danielle, this was just another betrayal.
My mom has never, ever lied to me. Even when things got bad, when they got worse, my mom has never lied to me.
But when I was away, your mother took child support on me. They did the DNA test. I gave her the papers. They garnished my check.
Mr. Ellis, explain that. You had a DNA test already.
Yes.
The courtroom shifted as Danielle's mother, Rosa, took the stand. Yes, a test had been done, but she recalled different results. 99.9% that Louis was the father. The contradiction sent murmurs through the room. One test, two completely opposite results. Who was lying? Louis didn't budge. He insisted the paperwork had been clear and that child support had stopped because of it.
Was there a DNA test performed?
This DNA test got was from her through juvenile court, but they never showed the court.
So the bottom line is a DNA test was performed, yes or no?
Yes.
What were the results?
They say in the court 99% yes.
Lewis, however, wasn't about to back down. He stuck to his story that the DNA test proved he wasn't the father. When pressed about the child support, he insisted that after the test was performed, he had been released from any further obligations. Money had been taken from his checks, but after a few months, it was returned. If the results said he wasn't the father, then why was he being dragged through this again?
I took those same papers to child support, and they said I had to pay child support.
They said you have to or you did not have to?
And they said they garnished my check 3 times. They said, we're going to send that money back to you. Might take 3 to 4 weeks, take about a month, but I got it back, Your Honor.
So they garnished
Ask me a question.
Twice,
have you ever
check 3 times?
What difference does it make? Have you ever received child support?
Because you told me twice.
Despite the overwhelming evidence, Danielle remained steadfast. She knew that the results of one test couldn't define her relationship with Louis. For years, she had lived with the idea that he was her father, even if he had never once embraced that truth. deep in her heart, she knew that she was looking for acceptance and love, and she wasn't about to let the court proceedings stand in the way.
Did you make an attempt to get to know his family at all?
Yes, I talked to a couple of my family members on his side.
And what was their response? Did they open their arms to you?
Regardless of anything, I'm still their family. I look like them. I don't look like most of the people on my mom's side of the family, so I know there has to be some kind of connection.
Mary Ellis, Lewis's mother, was called to testify. During her testimony, she described her son's character and upbringing, portraying him as a kind and responsible person. She also provided context about his relationship with Danielle and insisted that she wasn't her granddaughter. However, Danielle challenged her statements, bringing up past incidents that showed the older woman didn't like her.
Why are you convinced that your son isn't Miss Lyde's biological father?
When I first saw the baby at a month old, she looked 4 months old. And from what I had heard from my son, her father's a great big man. What I heard from my neighbor, she has a little brother that she and the little brother were like twins. And the grandmother, Miss Lyde Sr.'s.
Danielle recounts an incident from her childhood when she approached Mary to introduce herself, claiming to be Mr. Ellis's daughter, but Mary responded angrily. When Judge Lake asks Mary about this incident, Mary denies it, claiming Danielle is lying. She insists that Danielle is not her granddaughter and will not put the blame on her son. Danielle, in turn, insists that they are lying about her.
Seen her on a trolley when I was 10. I don't know if you remember.
You were 16.
I was 10. I saw her on a trolley where we used to live at, and I approached her, and I want to introduce myself like, I'm Mr. Ellis's daughter. She told me, get on my face or I will smack you.
What?
Danielle's life had been filled with unanswered questions, but now the DNA results would settle the debate once and for all. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the judge as she opened the envelope. The long-awaited and desperately sought-after truth was about to be revealed. After years of confusion, frustration, and emotional pain, the truth was finally about to be revealed.
Mr. Ellis, you are the father. Whoa!
I knew it.
Yes. Boom! Miss Beckley, you are in court today to prove Mr. Allen is the biological father of your 1-year-old daughter, Italy Beckley.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say Mr. Allen has only seen his daughter one time since she has been born.
The explosive clash of two people, both convinced they were right, each one playing the game of denial and accusation. She had a child, a daughter named Itele, and all she wanted was for the man she once trusted to step up and take responsibility, but he refused. The moment Mr. Allen walked into that courtroom, he was already on the defensive, claiming he was absolutely certain the child wasn't his. His mind was made up.
To take responsibility of something we both made. It makes me feel angry. I'm angry. She's without a father, and it's terrible that she has to go through that, and I'm raising her on my own.
Ms. Beckley passionately described her frustration. She recounted the struggles of raising their daughter, Itele, alone while Mr. Allen had barely been involved in her life. In fact, he'd only seen the baby once since her birth. That left Beckley feeling both enraged and heartbroken. He had been there for their 2 other children, but when it came to Itele, he was nowhere to be found.
The nature of your relationship during the time when Italy was conceived?
Well, me and Ms. Beckley had separated. We were co-parenting. We were still good friends.
That's not true. On Germany's 2nd birthday, he wasn't staying with me, but he ended up coming back on her birthday.
He fired back, claiming that he couldn't be the father because of doubts surrounding the timing of the pregnancy. According to him, the conception didn't align with their relationship timeline, and the whole situation felt wrong. They had been separated at the time, co-parenting amicably, or so he thought, when he ended up back at her house during their daughter's birthday. But it wasn't a tender reunion. It was, as he called it, angry sex. For him, angry sex doesn't make babies.
How long after that did you find out she was pregnant?
Within a day or 2.
A day or 2?
That's a lie.
Yeah, within a
That
day or
is
2,
a lie.
she told me.
How
Yes,
can I
Your
tell you a day after we have sex that I'm pregnant? That don't even make sense.
Got pregnant too fast? This guy has excuses. The confusion only deepened as the two continued to argue about when Beckley found out she was pregnant. The back and forth left the judge shaking her head. Beckley wasn't backing down. She brought in evidence, birth certificates for their other children, each with his name listed as the father, but for Itele, nothing.
You didn't even give her his last name.
He don't deserve it.
Your
He
Honor,
don't deserve it.
I was there for my other 2 children by her. I even raised her other daughter, Your Honor. How could you tell me I don't deserve something when I stood my
You
ground
wasn't
for
there.
my
How you
children?
deserve her? How she deserve your last
Did I
name?
And Antonio grew defensive. He had been there for the other kids, even for a child who wasn't biologically his. He had done his part until this. He wasn't going to be trapped or take on a responsibility based on guilt alone. His own father had been taken from him when he was just a baby, murdered before he ever had a chance to know him. He understood the importance of a father's presence, which was exactly why he wouldn't commit to something that didn't feel right.
So how do you come and see the other kids, Mr. Allen, but not spend time with or bond with Italy?
Well, Your Honor, I have questioned Shamia about Italy. You know, I asked could I speak to her. She say no.
The arguments escalated, each accusation adding more fuel to the fire. Sensing the animosity and dysfunction, Judge Lake pointed out how both parties had grown accustomed to their back-and-forth dance of denial and blame. But it didn't matter how many times they'd gone around in circles. The truth still remained. A little girl was caught in the middle.
You got two legs. You could have went down there and went to the court. Hold on, let's get some order. Let's get some order. Let's get order. Because I'm starting to understand what's going on here. This is a dance, y'all. You know this choreography.
Allen finally admitted how deeply he had been struggling with co-parenting with Beckley. He acknowledged their disconnect, but still refused to accept that Idale was his child. The emotional weight of the moment settled into the room as both parties continued to clash, neither willing to compromise. So, the judge called in Allen's witness to testify.
Before she said anything, Your Honor, she has nothing to do with it. Whatever she says is false and is irrelevant. She don't know me, I don't know her.
Okay, let me be the judge of that since I'm the judge. State your name for the record.
Cheyenne Montgomery. I'm Darius' fiance, Your Honor. She has told Darius that he was not the father.
The tension reached a boiling point, but the situation wasn't as simple as Allen made it out to be. Still, despite the complicated circumstances, Itale was a result of their actions, and she was now a year old. Beckley wanted him to own up to it, but Allen wasn't having it. Instead, he confirmed his fiance's accusation. Beckley had been with other men around the same time.
You testified that you heard Miss Beckley had been sleeping with another man.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you hear this?
From a neighbor of hers.
A neighbor of hers told you this?
A neighbor of hers contacted him.
There's only one way to figure out the truth now. After all the fighting, denial, and back and forth, the DNA test results were ready. The courtroom fell silent, the air thick with tension. The final moment had come, and no one could guess what the outcome would be. Would Allen finally accept his role as a father, or would his doubts hold him back forever?
When it comes 1 year old, Italy, Beckley, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Allen, you are the father.
Told you. You too, fiance.
Mr. Mason, you previously appeared in court when you proved that the defendant's 1-year-old daughter was not your child. You are now here questioning the paternity of the defendant's 5-month-old son, Ace.
Clarence Mason had been here before, standing before the judge, denying paternity, swearing that a child wasn't his. And last time, he was right. The DNA test proved that the baby he had been accused of fathering was, in fact, not his. But now, months later, he was back. And despite a prenatal DNA test confirming that he was the father, Mason wasn't convinced. He refused to accept it, demanded another test, and brought his case back to court. Why? Because in his mind, something wasn't adding up.
That it's impossible to get a DNA for a child that's unborn just from a swab of the mother. I guess that's the only way I'm still acting the way I am toward him.
Well, you don't get the DNA of the child born just from a swab of the mother.
Mason wasn't just questioning the test, he was questioning everything. The timing, the circumstances, the way Ace cried whenever he held him, and most of all, the presence of another man, Courtney Haynes. Mason had noticed how quickly Haynes stepped into the picture, and how Malone handed the baby to him instead of Mason. Yet, there he was, being called Daddy by the baby's own mother.
And it's impossible to tell the DNA or the paternity of an unborn child.
Yes, sir.
What other reason do you have?
Every time I held Ace, it's like all he did was just cry, and there was just no connection.
That's what a baby does.
Then, there was the matter of the birth certificate. Clarence had been there when Ace was born. His name had been written on the document, sealing his role as the boy's father. But while he was away at work, LaQuisha had it changed. His name erased, replaced with Haynes's. It didn't add up. Why would she do that if she wasn't hiding something? LaQuisha insisted it wasn't about deception. It was about anger.
You didn't even know her when she was pregnant?
No.
Never know anything about each other.
So you don't believe that to be true, Mr. Mason?
No, ma'am. I feel like...
Why don't you believe it?
Malone Malone had her own version of events. She admitted that putting Haynes' name on the birth certificate had been a mistake, but it wasn't what Mason thought. It wasn't because Haynes was the father. It was because Mason was acting like he didn't want to be. He had abandoned her emotionally, left her alone in the hospital after Ace was born, and refused to step up. And Haynes, he was there. He was the one holding her hand when Mason walked away.
And you have to fill your information out on that.
And so what is this you submitted to the court?
That's just the birth certificate that the hospital gave me that I could take home. And
that's
on
the
the
thing
back of that, that's what he signed.
Mason refused to buy it. He had been there when Ace was born. He had signed the papers. But everything changed when he left the hospital to go to work. And besides, it wasn't just about paperwork. It was about instincts. Something inside him told him that Ace wasn't his. He didn't feel that unbreakable bond he had with his other kids. Whenever he looked into his son's eyes, he didn't see himself. He saw a stranger.
Me and Miss Malone, we was together for 5 years. And for 5 years, I feel like it was nothing but just dishonesty. And it was more bad than good.
And it was on both of our behalves.
And so that's why we came the
me.
last time.
LaQuisha Malone fired back. Mason hadn't just doubted paternity. He'd abandoned his role as a father. While Haynes stepped up, Mason pulled away, focusing only on their older children. She accused him of picking favorites, leaving Ace to bond with the man who actually acted like a dad. The courtroom buzzed as she revealed the final straw. Mason had allegedly cheated with a stripper.
And when we went our separate ways,
after we agreed that we was not going to dwell on the past, he still did it anyway.
And
so I took your advice and I left him. And now I'm starting
I didn't necessarily cheat.
The courtroom was thick with tension. The judge listened as both sides spilled their emotions, regrets, and accusations. Mason clung to his doubts, while Malone clung to her certainty. And then there was Haynes, standing on the sidelines, watching his name dragged into the mess. He claimed he hadn't even met Malone until after Ace was born, but Mason didn't believe that either.
Then you here saying you don't trust the results when you the one that's not being trustworthy.
I wasn't cheating, Your Honor, at all. I went to a friend who I could talk to about my situation because I could never go to Miss Malone and talk.
What was your situation?
However, as much as Mason wanted to believe there was a conspiracy against him, the evidence wasn't in his favor. The court had already conducted a prenatal DNA test, and the results were clear. Yet, here he was, begging for another test, convinced that science had gotten it wrong. He needed proof, real proof, the kind that left no room for doubt.
Mr. Mason, as a judge, as a woman, I've practiced law for over 2 decades. I have every reason to throw this case out because you have not presented any evidence here today that would suggest something was wrong with that.
And then, the moment of truth arrived. The tension in the room was suffocating. Mason had spent months clinging to the possibility that he wasn't the father. He had convinced himself that he had been tricked, lied to, betrayed. But the truth didn't care about his feelings. It didn't care about his doubts, his fears, or his what-ifs.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Mason, you are the father. Again.
So